Hello, friends. Happy Monday. Although, is it? Is it really? Slay J, everything that's happening right now has unfortunately a pretty clear answer. It's all Europe. I'm blaming Europe. Fuck them. You can't even blame China for this one. Nope. China wanted the markets to go up. And we'll talk about that. But this leg down, let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you. Ah, ha, ha, ha. This. Not a lot of stiff upper lip being shown here. Putin going into hiding? Fuck no. That'd be bullish. Chemlife, welcome to your bearish case the entire time. Next up is EU bank solvency issues. It was always an interesting bear case to me. I mean, Europe sucks, and that's kind of been priced to a certain degree, but there's an aspect you can't price in, and that's the currency impacts. And I'm not talking about, like, for anyone saying, like, oh my god, the dollar's strong, that's going to hold back, you know, Apple or Qualcomm or US companies selling overseas. No, that's not the concern. The concern is due to currency, demand gets crushed. That's the real concern. The UK government is fighting their central bank. Yes, that is 100% correct. Bitcoin better than the pound. Oh, fuck. That's the level we're at. Let it all burn. I mean, Chemlife, are the EU banks actually at risk of solvency now? That I don't know. Ignore Credit Suisse for a second. They're unique. They're a shitco masquerading as a bank. No? B-Hood, Bank of America, State of Consumer. Let me see if I can pull it up. It says Bank of America Research. They have like a research website. Where is it? Yeah, it's Bank of America. No, Basel 3 means no? Okay, I got it. Is this the one that has it? There's like Global Research, Market Insights. Is this the one that does it? I don't know. I usually see when people post it on Twitter, but my understanding is they specifically have a page dedicated. So no, Citi does it, JP Morgan does it, Bank of America does it. Within the last 2 weeks, there was also a bunch of conferences, including a financial and a fintech conference. So I know that was talked about. Oh, thing. Guys, I'm going to be honest. For any of our British friends in here, any of our UK friends, guys, I'm going to apologize. Today's going to be a particularly rough, I mean, here on stream, we're going to shit on you kind of quite a bit. This week's probably going to suck. This month is probably going to suck. The back quarter of this year is probably going to suck. The truth of the matter is, post-Brexit. And a lot of what you are seeing, by the way, it's not caused by Brexit, it's exasperated by Brexit. Yep, Chemlife, you are correct. But yeah, unfortunately for the UK, like, man, they wanted to be treated like their own island of 60 million people and in terms of as a market. And, yeah. The one thing I'm going to say, Canada, pay fucking attention to what's happening to the UK. If you guys didn't have natural resources, the UK is as an example of what, like, mismanagement from the Canadian government standpoint could look like. All right? If you are a political lefty, particularly if you're an economic lefty, like, I get it. We all want, like, good ideals moving forward. It's dangerous. It gets fucking dangerous. Just be very cautious. But Britain is its own thing. So small, all things considered. B-Hood, let's chat. You're not wrong. But here's the thing. All right? Previously, the UK was a lot closer linked with the EU but they had their own currency. When they separated themselves, part of the problem is that they basically cut, or traditionally, the UK had kind of this unique scenario in which they gave up a little bit of their sovereignty towards the EU, meaning the EU can make some rules, decisions, things like immigration, open borders, etc. But in return, they were closely integrated into the EU economy. And you might sit there and say, the EU economy sucks. Yeah, but there was a reason London was like number 2 or number 3 in terms of global financial center, because you could basically locate your financial sector over in London and you had full access to the European Union. Now you don't. Yep, so tax proposals are shit. Correct. Guys, see this drop? Let me show you. This is funny. Straight perfection, economic lefty. Doesn't that just mean you want to spend money you don't have? Oh no, the righties do that shit too. The Bush tax cuts were a classic example when you consider that he then went to war. Anyway, look at this. Do you know what happened here? This was not monetary policy. This was not monetary policy. In fact, hold on. Let me go back to the more brutal example. Basically last week. This was not monetary policy, guys. This was fiscal policy. This was a tax cut. The UK wanted some stimulus at the worst fucking time. This is what happens if you try to do stimulus and you are not the global reserve currency. You don't get a lot of headroom to make these decisions. So yeah, Spencer's correct. UK tax proposals are shit. Yeah. New conservative government, economic righty, so to speak. Keep in mind, I am a conservative on the economic matters. Came into power and immediately said, well, let's give money back to our people. Let's pound through these tax cuts. The problem is inflation's eating them alive. And at the same time, their central bank interest rates are still exceedingly low. All right. So it's not like this is monetary. Put it this way. You can't blame their central bank purely for this. What caused this move, and basically over the weekend and Friday, this is monetary. This is fiscal policy. This is a tax cut at the worst fucking time. So, hey, JB Ghost. You know the ECB commented today as well, but why isn't the EU doing more specific stimulus to support those most in need rather than broad supports that also increases inflation and makes it harder to win with rates? Just politics? Almost certainly politics. I mean, remember, it's not like the government. You have this notion of something called like in international political economy. It's basically the idea that when governments make policy decisions, you're making it for the overall, quote, state, the government as a whole, the people as a whole, but then you're also trying to do it for your own constituent groups to keep yourself in power. So the problem is that the second you'd have something where they say, okay, we want to do stimulus for like specifically the poorest sector, then you'd have other groups come in and say, wait a minute, but you're not doing it for this group. Put it like this. It's why you usually in the past don't see, you usually didn't see a lot of like student loan forgiveness programs go through unless they were broad as fuck, even though they should be targeted. So it's a really good question, JB Ghost. But yeah, it's, you want to be seen as doing the most for the most amount of people. Slay J, our current admin will still be blamed. Absolutely. The blame game is for real. The funny thing is we're not as dead as we probably, like, I'm kind of shocked we're not really dead. All right. Look at this. B-Hood asks, I made a comment today about megacap as a haven seemed iffy. Why? Happy to answer that. Look at this, guys. Your megacaps. Ignore Tesla. Tesla's a shitco masquerading as a megacap. But generally speaking, you have mega caps that are roughly flat. You're probably seeing more inflow because they're defensive. Here's why I think that is, quote, iffy. JB Ghost. I think your username sounds fine. It's okay, my friend. There was an old rave DJ named JB Smooth. So whenever I see like JB something, I always think back to that. Anyway, going back to B-Hood. Here's my personal concern. The closest thing to risk off you will see, aside from people completely ignoring the market, to me, is the idea that no one wants to invest in energy. No one even wants to invest in healthcare, but they're still kind of staying or remaining into the mega caps as defensive. It's to me, it's a great, like, it's not the worst risk off scenario. It's a bad risk off scenario to me. It means no one wants to stick their neck out. Remember, no matter how bad you think the economy is going to go, Microsoft economically is fine. Apple economically is fine. I know so many people pull out these tropes. Oh, but look what happened during 2008 when earnings crashed. Not these companies. Economically, these companies are fine. Their greater risk, quite frankly, is regulatory related. Someone say money. Even if the Fed doesn't care about the market, wouldn't there be pressure for pension funds who with defensive positions are getting destroyed? Yes and no. Yes and no. Jacket and Blast and hold that thought. This is a good question from Someone Say Money. Here's the problem, and this is why you have an independent Fed. All right, if you guys want to know what an independent Fed looks like, name the last few Fed presidents. J. Powell, Yellen, Bernanke, Greenspan. Every person I mention has served under both a Democratic and a Republican president. That's the ultimate definition of like politically impartial or an independent. The fact that every person I mentioned, go back and look at it, they've all worked under both a Republican and a Democrat. Crazy, huh? So here's the thing, Someone Say Money. Even if the Dems would love, and listen, you can hear Elizabeth Warren, Senator Warren, bitching about how Jay Powell is going to throw millions of people into unemployment. All right. The problem is this, first of all, there's not a lot of ability for a President Biden. Like, if you think President Biden wants to get the market to bounce, so therefore he's going to demand Jay Powell do something. Jay Powell says, I'm sorry, we're always independent. We don't think that's the best thing. We're going to do this. What does Biden do? Does he remove Jay Powell? What happens to the markets immediately? They all fucking die. It's actually worse. Here's the more interesting question, though. The pension funds. The question is, do you think the pension funds die fast, or do you think it's worse if they die slower? That's the problem about inflation, and that's what Jay Powell's been saying over and over and over again. If you don't have price stability, you don't have security in investments. Companies are not going to do a lot of investing. And remember, we're going to talk later on today. If you are American, I'm going to be honest. Today, you should be happy to be here in the show because there's going to be a lot of good news. Not in the near term. No, near term, we're all fucked. At least in the market sense. But for general economic standpoint, we are setting the stage for America to be very happy for the next 5 years. You have to make it about 2 years. Okay? At some point a few years from now, we'll look back at this. This was a pivotal moment in which we almost saw, at least from an economic standpoint, the world move away from what's called multipolarity back to a unipolar world of a superpower. A single superpower to rule them all. That's what we're talking about. Slay J, what gets us out of this global economy? Hold that thought. Super good question, though. I have two scenarios. The bang and the wheeze. To me, I think the wheeze is more likely. Yeah, thank you, Pacific and Atlantic Ocean. Oh, go bigger than that. Give me liquidity. Thank you, natural gas reserves for the U.S. That's the answer. The U.S., the world's two greatest borders and greatest neighbors. Fuck you if you don't think Mexico and Canada don't make the greatest neighbors the world could have. One brings us great food and labor. The other brings us peace and stability. Sorry, Canada, your food sucks. One ring to bind 'em. Callie Otter, this is the actually at this point, $1 trillion question. Don't they have to be cognizant about breaking the global market, or do they not care if the U.S. is fine? A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. To a certain degree, no, the U.S. should care. Do you think they're going to pivot and create longer lasting inflation? This will drag everything out further. There's also, by the way, this whole notion of moral hazard. With all due respect to my European friends, what, you want the US to secure more inflation for its future? Because for the last 12 years, you guys have done epically stupid energy policy. And every time the US pointed this out, you guys said, the US is just trying to sell more US natural gas and make money on the back of Europeans. Yeah. By the way, for anyone thinking Trump warned them, Biden did the same. Sorry, not Biden, Obama. And by the way, Bush Jr. did too. The U.S. is so lucky. Oceans to the east and west, moves to the north, tacos to the south, and over the drug lords. Also, coastline. To that point, I want to show you guys something. It was info. Oh, what the fuck? Infographic show. Great YouTube channel. They did something very specific where they talked about, what is it? I think it was this was the channel that did it. I may have to go look for it separate, but may not have been them. It may have been a separate. Anyway, I will probably find it and post it later inside VTards. But they made a someone did a really good video about the advantages of the United States. And I'll tell you right now, it's the fact we have a ton of natural resources, and it's geography 100%, not the way you're thinking about it. Do you know what country has the largest coastline pretty much in the world? United States. That matters. We have barrier islands, which are super important because it created essentially a highway, the equivalency back in the 1800s to ship goods. And we have the Mississippi River directly being fed by all the tributaries, etc., the entire system where all of our farmland is. So it turned the U.S. into what's called an agricultural, real-life lore. Thank you, Jordy Botto. It's real-life lore. Yep. Here it is. Guys, everyone, not right now, but later on, watch this video. Super cool. You thought China number one? Nope. China doesn't have a lot of hydrocarbons. Russia has different issues. Hey, Caffeine, how you doing, my friend? Imagine getting all out policied by Bush Jr. Yeah. 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 But yeah, the US has a lot of advantages right now. We all don't see them because the entire market's shitting itself. And quite frankly, it's really difficult to differentiate between like the US dollar is strong versus everything we would compare it to is weak as shit. Apple's carrying the market. Amazon's doing, I think, a little bit more work than Apple. By the way, did anyone catch the news about Roblox? This is fucked up. Ooh, let me see this. Yeah. Luoyang, Zhengzhou. I used to live in Zhengzhou. Luoyang I visited before as well. Luoyang, if I remember correctly, I think Luoyang or Guifang is like one of the like old school, like traditional like capitals of like the Chinese Empire, like over 1,000 some odd years ago. Zhengzhou is where I used to live, and that city was growing super fast. When I was there, about 12 million people. It was a small city. Yeah. How fucked is that? 12 million people, and that's a small city. Oh, get fucked. I'll find it later. Yep. Amazon is now a meme stock. Amazon is the company I will not bet against. Even though I will not bet on them, I will not bet against them. Rad, I love it. The US dollar. The US dollar is doing what gold bugs insisted. How is gold doing today? I assume shitty, but let's confirm. Oops, metals. Yeah, they're not having fun. Neither is silver. Raina, how about the bathrooms in China? Fucking hated it. Let's not go there. Shipping rate's dead. Which means inflation's dead. It's funny, I've heard so many people sit there and make insinuations like, well, you know, anyone who said inflation peaked, you know, they're fucking wrong. No, they're still right. Here's what's fucked up. If Europe wasn't like literally shitting their pants in the corner of the room right now, especially on currency standpoint, what would US inflation be doing? Because when the dollar goes up, we are basically importing deflation. Windmaster, gold is doing well if you price it in euros, motherfucker. Yeah, gold's doing well versus the yen, the euro, the pound. Oh. Did you guys catch overnight? Supposedly, and I've got no information about this, but this is going to lead into one of our topics: misinformation about China. Supposedly, Chinese banks are being ordered to buy securities to pump their markets. Check out yin for the second. All right, yin's having a reasonably good day. Reasonably. Now, I've not seen an official source. No fucking clue what it means. But this brings us to a topic, guys. Let's chat. Remember we covered that story last Friday, about the quote, coup in China? It looks like that was bullshit. Ironically, though, no one's seen President Xi Jinping. But there's some really good research work, op security work being done on Twitter showing which accounts have been pushing that, and how it got to be kind of, I would say, prevalent across Twitter. And it's just a few accounts, some of which have already been connected to Falun Gong, which one of you guys pointed out. She probably got COVID? No. I think she's in bad health. That's not my opinion. A lot of people have said that. Did she really cut out of Uzbekistan early? That's what I heard, yeah. Supposedly. Xi, Jack Ma, and Kim Jong all ran away together. That would be funny. Yeah, here's the thing. I don't know what to think of all the Chinese news coming about. I still think it's bullshit. The one thing that I will sit there and say is this. If you are particularly bearish on markets, keep this in mind. The status quo is essentially like bearish towards the US. Bearish towards China as well. If anything crazy happens to me, there's a greater tail risk of pushing the market up on China news, or at least the Chinese side of the market, than down. Because, yeah, I do have to read that full article. Everything that I've read and studied in the past has suggested the mortgage situation is essentially investment situation, not actual housing. It's just they picked housing as their investment. But yeah, I do have to read that. I'm pretty sure I got stopped out of those Air shares that I sold. Oh yeah, I got stopped out. So I made some money. And at some point I'll jump back into Air. Jacking and blasting. If Biden and Xi meet and fuck, we will all be winning. That is 100% true. Yeah, just 60% of pre-sold homes from 21 to 2020 built. Since 2021, 90% of new homes pre-sold. About 70% of homes being bought weren't first-time buyers. Yep, that suggests it was investment purposes. It's not people's houses. It's people's investments. Dear President Xi Jinping, just in case you're paying attention, fucking get some immigration going. That's what you need. Like, immigration solves half of the problem. Building the fucking homes would actually do another portion. But yeah, let's just say, demographically, you keep building these ghost cities. If your population peaked already, how are they going to fill up? And essentially, your people bought shitcoins and financed shitcoins through mortgages. Okay? That's a unique situation. You don't have a good example of this in the West. The closest example, in my opinion, how I've been summarizing it, really is a spin on like the current, the crypto exchanges, the shitcoins in the US. That's the closest parallel I can find, and even that close. What's happening with the US? Continuing resolution. So yeah, budget runs out this Friday. They need a continuing resolution. I assume both sides will get together and get it done, because holy shit. No one wins if the US goes into a government shutdown. Yeah, B-Hood. Of note also, on 10-6. I assume you mean Zhengzhou, not Zhengzhou. Basically A or an E. Anyway, has a deadline that all stopped work in the area has to restart. It'll be a bit of a test of the government's metal. Yeah. By the way, if you're a commodity bull, that should theoretically be good. It's the fact that China is going to try to force these developers and push to basically finish these units. But yeah, it's not good. I do not think, though, relative to the other crises China's faced, put it this way, it is still number 2 on the reasons I worry about China. Number 1 remains COVID-0. Which brings us to our next point. Look at Las Vegas Sands. 12% MGM. 1.6% win. 12%. What's the difference between Las Vegas Sands win versus, say, MGM? Somebody. Correct. Give more caffeine is correct. Las Vegas Sands and Wynn have the highest amount of exposure to Macau. Macau reopened. Correct. They're getting pumped. It's interesting if you look at this as potentially China trying to walk away from zero COVID. It's gonna be a Macau person. I know we had a Malaysian person. Did we have a Macau person? My cow. But to fully fix the development of finance and power from central to local in China needs that's a weird one, B-Hood. I don't think it's totally wrong, but like there's a lot of history about like China's local institutions are a huge drain. It's weird. You're not totally wrong. Put it that way. I mean, to fully fix is like so tough. But yeah, Macau reopening, accepting tour groups from mainland China. Okay, I don't like Macau God. I'm the cow person, but definitely not the Macau person. Twitter's in the gutter today. Just wait. There's a bunch of is it today and tomorrow? I think today and tomorrow is Elon Musk's deposition. So life could get spicy. Not yet, caffeine. Can you link it, please? And I'll pull it up. Yeah, let's see how Twitter is doing, in fact. Yeah, Twitter's down. Local governments primarily get their money from land sales to real estate companies. That's true. With this being their primary income source, local governments don't have any option to change. Even if central bails them out, what other options for funding do they have? A lot of it also go the other direction, B-Hood, which is local governments then get told from the central government, your GDP target this year is X. You need to essentially spur GDP development. So it's like really like it's the depth of it is so much worse. Bulldog, can the Twitter deal be renegotiated for less? Technically, yes. The concern there becomes the stockholders, the shareholders for Twitter have already approved it. So it would technically involve the need for a second vote. It's interesting. The mole, I don't think it, well, does the Twitter case have any larger implications for the market as a whole? I think for the entire process of acquisitions, yes. And that's basically if Elon completely and totally walks away free. But again, I think there would have to be some other like bombshell that drops during discovery to indicate like basically you would need like an engineer saying the MDAU number is noticeably wrong, followed by members of Twitter's board of directors basically agreeing to hide it. Like that's what it would be required to kind of mean to me Elon walks away. Thank you, more caffeine. Look at it, guys. I love this. Now our very own caffeine put this out. Performance benchmarked against January 2nd of this year. RSX is Russia. Look at it die. Look at it die. Hey, Reed. How you doing, my friend? Oh, hey, the bot did not yell at you. Maybe it should have. B-Hood is correct. A 2 to 3 year U.S. Treasury. Yep. Everyone always sits there and says, why hold cash if it's just going to degrade for the purchasing power in this high inflationary time period? The 2-year yield right now is over 4%. You are getting paid 4% to do nothing. Basically, any company you invest in should have a free cash flow yield of over 2%. There are some. Rad, I thought the RSX has already opened up. Brazil would be strong if not for the election this week. Yep. Yeah, a little bad. The judge is making a bunch of decisions in tomorrow's case. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. Be very interesting to see. 10 years going to 4. Does that mean anything? Not really. Theoretically, it should be getting people interested in buying. But the number one buyer of the 10-year, it's basically foreign governments. And they're not buying. All right. If anything, they are selling treasuries to get US dollars. Remember, a treasury, think of it in a certain case as an IOU back for dollars. So these other countries are going to sell US treasuries to get the dollars to defend their own shitty currencies. No nukes? What kind of wars? Come on. Yeah. Any feeling on the Italy election? No. None. Populism is a concern. Populism is a concern. People, I've seen a lot of people with some bad takes. You know, oh, it's the far right. You know, it's a populist thing. All right. Goes without saying, you need to be a little cautious. Any politician who likes to draw lines, just be a little cautious, obviously. But yeah. In the end, with all due respect to my Italian viewers, it's Italy. Are they even one of the 10 largest economies now? How big is Italy versus California? I'm pretty sure California's bigger. Fig. So they're Russian simps. But do you expect them to back off if the EU pressure? They can leave the EU if they want. Yeah, I think the problem the EU faces, particularly from a credibility standpoint, has a lot more to do with decisions the EU has made, and quite frankly, decisions Germany in particular has made. Germany has made a lot of bad energy decisions. Keep in mind, the EU is generally speaking all in the same electrical grid. So if Germany all of a sudden has to start, buying more electricity on the open market, it hurts everybody there. But yeah, caffeine, this is an excellent visualization. I truly love it. Here's my question. So it's benchmarked against themselves, right? You know what could be really interesting to see? Like, almost if you adjusted all of these by the US dollar. Like, how fucked does that get? Imagine that. Because some of these, you're basically comparing them against themselves. Imagine then looking at what the US dollar has done to all of these. It's actually even worse. SPY, no. What does SPY do? Oh, 363. That's fine. Germany has gone soft. You can make the argument the world is a lot happier with a softer Germany than an angry Germany, right? Yeah. By the way, Dirty Mud, thank you for the sub. Captain Squishy Face, thank you for the sub as well. Kimbo Slice, thank you for the sub. I appreciate the subs, guys. Thank you very much. Sung Maxi, out of the Axis powers, Italy is the least concerning to re-elect a far-right party anyways, yeah. Ooh, give more caffeine, that'll be interesting. Someone say money, my god. That is savage. I'm not going to repeat that. Apple's still too high. Well, now they're defensive. It'll be interesting to see how Apple reacts for this last quarter. Remember, demand for the iPhone Pro is very strong. Farmer says 150 and below and the market is dead. Maybe. SPY signing up for a bull run? Whoa, what's your time frame? What's your time frame here? Price to earnings on Apple still ridiculous? Is it? What should it be? I know, it's definitely not Farmer Jim. Their forward PE right now is 23, and that's not including cash. What should their valuation be? Yeah, Costco's the one I think is ridiculous. 8-1, you're fucking high. No, I'm sorry. That's fucking crazy. Name the stock ticker for Apple's comparison. No, I don't have to see it drop 60%. Give me your logic. Name their competitor. Who are you benchmarking them against? I'm okay with saying Apple's, quote, Apple's overvalued, but I'm sorry, 8-1, like, that's fucking nuts. Look at the run up. It'll retrace the entire... Okay, what's the valuation? What's the logic I'm asking? Who will I compare the biggest company to? You just said you thought an 8-1 PE made sense. So now you have to tell me how you got to 8. So price to earnings, you think 8. Where? Where's the valuation, my brother in Christ? Who are you comparing Apple to? That's the fun thing. You can't mention another company for a reason, right? A traditional valuation, do Apple's. What? You got computer hardware, you got services, you got advertising, all wrapped into one. A company with $90 billion buyback. Their gross margins, by the way, are 43%. Clouds, with all due respect, my brother in Christ, I get all that you're saying. I'm not disagreeing. However, you are not making a compelling financial valuation argument. Yeah. I'm okay with the idea that, say, I don't know what Apple's PE should be. Here's the problem. Who's their comparison point? Hey, Ursula, how you doing? Oh, it's been spicy watching the market, I'll say that much. Samsung. And FinDivi, that's the interesting thing. When you compare Samsung versus Apple, Apple has a thriving services business, Samsung doesn't. Samsung also has, through their Samsung Electronics, they also literally have their fab business. Nokia, is Nokia still doing cell phones? Are they actually doing their own cell phones, or did they sell off their handset business? Samsung does trade, I think, in the US. But I think, isn't Nokia software? Or is that, I think, I know BlackBerry is software. Here's the thing. If you compare Nokia, compare Samsung, you strip out their hardware business, Apple shits all over them in gross margin. Apple shits on them on ad services and services revenue as well. Okay? Apple's not my favorite mega cap by any means. All right? But Apple's valuation to me is not as insane as Costco's. Costco's the nutty one. Bonds dying, yeah. What do you think people are selling right now to defend those currencies, right? BlackBerry. BlackBerry doesn't do hardware. BlackBerry does not do hardware. Isn't Samsung inside Apple's phones? Some of their device, what's it called? Display drivers, yes. Yeah. Yeah, the Korean chaebols, like their version of conglomerates, they're all like, oh, they're huge. With Samsung, you gotta remember, you're not just talking about the handsets. You are also talking about appliances, but then you're also talking about what's it called? Like their semiconductors business, their chips business. It's also underneath Samsung Electronics. It's wild. Apple's so expensive relative to its history, but it's a different business now, but it's growing far slower. Can go back and forth on it. End of the day, it's so big, it's like an index. Yep, sounds about right. Well, most likely won't material outperform the index without the diversification aspect. Yeah. And remember, the two marginal buyers for Apple right now are Apple themselves and Warren Buffett. That's what's crazy to me. Like, Warren Buffett plays in Apple. That's when you know you become a boomer tech stock. When Warren Buffett's like, I fucking want some. By the way, leaks coming out over the weekend suggest that Apple may be hosting an event in January to reveal their headset. That could be interesting. Ooh, Slay J, I do not like Best Buy. Best Buy is exposed to consumer, it's exposed to electronics. Not a good one. Not a good combo. Can Apple buy right now? I don't know. Blackout periods work weird. Apparently, Andy out this weekend. Let me see if I can pull it up. An interesting observation on blackouts. Looks like the 2-year did not have a good auction. All right. In the so-called corporate buyback blackout window, this thread may be useful. Also, if a company uses an accelerated share repurchase program, they buy during blackout. I didn't know that was the case. I actually thought they couldn't. That might be the only person who's buying AMD today, by the way, is AMD themselves. You notice Tax season will be weird next year. Government will not collect a lot. Yeah, that's true. Sung Maxi, so was the China coup a nothing burger? It seems like it's all vaporware. But no one's seen President Xi Jinping. I'm Trav. Do I not recommend AMD right now? Depends on your time frame. Depends on your time frame. If you have a long-term time set, there's nothing wrong with buying some. But right now, there is no stock that necessarily should have bottomed. You can make the argument everything goes down. Findivy, how do you clean your Twitter feed from fascist and Putin fanboy propaganda? I have no clue. Join NAFO and fuck. Yields on 5-year tips hit 1.8, highest since February of 2009. Bank of Japan's Governor Kuroda. I believe monetary easing will continue in 2023 and 2024. Andy Constant says, bye-bye yen. Mm-hmm. I always find it amazing how much press Wall Street silver gets, given it's been one of the worst investments. Non-market one is full of porn and socialism. I love it. Yeah, it's kind of hard to be on Twitter and try to be a centrist because you see all sorts of crazy shit. One thing I find impressive is all the Russian men of military age fleeing the country. Meanwhile, in Iran, all the women are standing up to their dictatorship. It tells you who's got balls. Yep, Thig. Wall Street Silver has a good media operation. They care more about the togetherness of their delusion than VTards ever did. Shows the power of belief in a cult. I'll go one step further. You guys have heard me say this. I still think Wall Street Silver was created by coin dealers. Because they don't give a shit about the price of actual silver. They're selling it with a markup no matter what. Spencer, is there a part of me that sympathizes with Russia? Yes. Russian civilians, yes. Yes. They're getting railroaded by Putin. Putin is, I am sure when we look back at this time period, Putin's not in the best health. Hey, Shigo, thank you much for the gift sub. I think the West, particularly in the US, if you are a technically inclined civilian from any country, welcome. We need immigration, and this is this is the time to be greedy when others are fearful. I want labor, I want talent. Welcome to America. We need to make up for the lack of immigration we've had for the last 2 years. Must suck to be Edward Snowden. By the way, guys, time to test something. There we go. I have a Discord link now in the sub, rather in the chat. So you type !Discord and you will get the link. The U.S. needs more immigrants. Immigrants do well. Cal Yotter, man, oil bulls were complaining about easy money policy without realizing they were benefiting from it too. Yes, that's fine. It's SPY dumping. Novavax should be. It's a shitty company. Not a shitty stock. It's a shitty company is the difference. Bula Bob, thank you very much for the sub. Greatly appreciated, my friend. It goes, it goes, it goes. It goes fine, wobbly. It's not spontaneous. Guys, if you want me to stop buying the dip so it goes up, let me know. By the way, this morning, I think no companies did earnings, so. Thank you for the sub spontaneous. Appreciate it. Right now, no put positions, no. I'm always concerned about buying calls near a high or puts, quote, near a low. And we are near the 52-week low. If we close right here, we've made a new low. Look at it. Intraday, though. Intraday, it's what, 360? Oil thoughts, not positive. I do not like oil right now. I want to wait. It's hard to get any beat on the future because of the Fed. Remember, what's changed this week, say, versus 2 weeks ago? The Fed basically, I always had the belief, like a lot of other people, that the Fed was going to look for inflation to come down, and then at the least they would stop hiking. The economic projections they put out last week are a game changer if you're a bull. Because basically, it says they will see inflation. In fact, they expect inflation to go down sharply before the end of the year, and they're still hiking rates anyway. Wobble heavily. 362.17 was the intraday low. Bees Dad, thanks for your advice on the job offer. You negotiated a higher signing bonus, took the offer, and putting... Congratulations, Bees Dad. Thank yourself. Do not thank me. Thank yourself. Well done, my friend. Well done. God, this week's going to fuck with people, by the way. On Friday, we get PCE data. If that comes in cold, no one's going to know what to think. No one's going to know what to think. By the way, guys, this is based on a bit of a conversation I had yesterday in VTARD, just to make sure you guys know it. Nominal GDP versus real GDP. All right. Just so you know, inflation does not drive nominal GDP. It's the other way around. That's why you hear the Fed talk about slowing down the economy, bringing it back into balance. The economy is nominal GDP. Inflation's when the CPI aspect you remove from nominal to create real GDP. Just want to make sure you guys know. Wobble heavily. Ooh, this is cool. You have some real HR shit to chat with you about. The CEO scheduled to meet with you this afternoon. First one-on-one with him you've ever had. Wants to share his thoughts and hear yours regarding the commercial organization. Context, just had layoffs and the VP and general manager left. Excellent. Congratulations. Congratulations, Wobble Heavily. Speaking as an HR pro, I will tell you right now, CEOs never fire people because you don't want to put them on the witness stand. So congratulations. This is all positive. If the CEO is meeting with you, they're not planning on firing your ass. So you should definitely, I mean, do you have thoughts? He may want to run by some ideas. Obviously, he thinks highly of you. Good news. I mean, this is good news. Thanks for WinBB. Stay in air or take profits and re-enter at a later date. I do want to re-enter. What are they at now? I got stopped out of mine, so I made like a few bucks, and I'm tempted to buy back in. I do want to buy something today because anytime you see the market in a little bit of a scare mode, I feel like you kind of should. At the same time, you're not going to see me buying a lot of options positions today. Garfo, I love this. I love this. What do you think happens to the next JOLTS? JOLTS are job openings, guys. Starting to wonder if there are major problems to how they measure that. I agree. We talked about this last week. Wobble heavily. Let's chat. Everybody, this is important. Wobble heavily says, you're nervous, but anxiously excited. I am trying to decide if I should remain more of an individual contributor or manage. You'll think you'll have sort of the option. Wobble heavily, my friend. And this goes for all of you guys from a corporate standpoint. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to make me sound a bit like an asshole. All right? Bear with the pain, stick through it. I'm going to make hopefully what some of you may see as a good point. Some of you may disagree with this. All right? The difference between a career or doing a job you like versus doing something for a paycheck is, to me, a certain component of like professional fulfillment. So wobble heavily without knowing your field, etc. Okay, you have to decide basically if you want to become more of an individual contributor or a manager. And I'll still point out there are ways you can stay an individual contributor and be highly vested, okay, highly engaged. The idea that you're nervous, take the time later on. You're a sales engineer, excellent. Take the time, walk away from everybody else, walk into a bathroom, walk into a mirror, splash cold water in your face, do whatever it takes, and sit there and say this. Do you have a strong enough viewpoint that you want to, quote, bet on yourself? Meaning, you have an idea, you're not sure if it works, and you're willing to tell yourself, you know what, there's a chance this may not work, you may get fired. But you still feel like it's something worth going. This is the time you can do to bet on yourself. All right? And for what it's worth, I've seen through my career, through others' careers, remember, corporate HR, lots of instances in which people have bet on themselves. And I'll tell you right now, a vast majority, more than 50%, worked out well. The people who had the balls to step up and say something, particularly to the CEO for a new program, etc., they felt strongly, but more importantly, they were committed. As a result, they worked harder to make it work through. And this is a weird time, economically speaking. You probably see something not a lot of people see. Finally, wobble heavily, I will say one more thing. I remember doing performance management programs for the senior leadership team of the CPG company, the one I don't tell you guys the name of. All right? And it was really interesting. We were entering the China market, and there was two strategies. One of which was we produce the goods inside the US where we already had quality control, or we partner up in a local venture and start building out capacity there. Now, I wasn't there when this was decided, but apparently early on they disclosed it was higher risk to go with a local partner, but there was greater reward in it. It was a lot more economically beneficial. Plus, we build a lot of capability within our talent, particularly in our overseas talent. The safe option would be to use the existing partner we had to ship the goods over. Apparently, the decision was made to go with the more risky option. And I'll tell you right now, it did not work out. So they're doing this performance management process, and they're talking about the person who did not make the decision, but the person who led the venture, who did not have good financial outcomes. That guy was rated outperform. He got the maximum bonus possible. The argument that was raised, and I remember it very well, is that If we punish someone for taking a risk and trying to execute a difficult situation, we'll never find anyone internally do that job again. And B, let's separate out. Was the failure associated, like, are we going to hold this person responsible for a bad decision or a bad outcome? Because looking back, and this was raised in the room with all these senior vice presidents, would anyone, knowing what we know now, would you have done anything different to try to execute differently? And no one could have the answer of anything differently they would have done. So the CEO basically said, I don't want to punish this person. This is good talent. They made the right decision, maybe. But it feels like this person just had a bad outcome. And you know what? I'll tell you right now, before I left that company in the next year, that venture turned itself around pretty fast. Does that make sense? Twitch Stream says, the Bezos method. Would I regret this in X years if you hadn't done this? Yes. Shit, that's the reason why I'm doing streaming, right? Give me liquidity. Give me any thoughts on you asking to get laid off from your job. Is that even a thing? No. Don't do that. Don't do that. You have some large positions in real estate stocks. I hate real estate. Let's go. You think they fire you if you ask? No. No, I don't think they fire you if you ask. I think that your career advancement's completely dead within the company. At that point, they know you're on your way out. Obligatory fuck toll, yeah. Nick Trassetti, how much do you make from day trading? Depends on the day, right? Rather Reptile, off topic. Why does Game of Thrones House of the Dragon insist on having scenes filmed in pitch black where you're lucky to see one I don't know. Shut up, Embitaska. I did not work in Bethlehem Steel before Sears. No. I have good memories of working for Sears. That's a funny thing. I don't think it's necessarily because it's cheaper. Depends on what scene you're talking about. So I actually think the lighting has been reasonably good. Reasonably good. Game of Thrones, when they did the Battle of Winterfell, you couldn't see shit. It's too dark. Wall of Making, we'll talk about that. Song Maxi, yep, see? Remember the Battle of Winterfell? Had no fuck. There we go. How much am I up on TSMC? Like in total or right? Because right now, I mean, that stock's been kicking my ass, so I'm down. But overall, I'm still up like 50-something thousand. I made a lot of money on TSMC last year. Wobble Heavily, the CEO wants to meet with you. Don't put together a presentation. Instead, put it this way. He may want, if he says to you, put it this way. He sets up a meeting that day. He's not expecting you to say, sir, here's what I have as an idea that I've been working on that I've just never presented to anyone before. It wasn't work well with you. Instead, this is your foot in the door. Here's my approach. Wobble Heavily. Number one, try to do more listening. See if he's trying to present an idea and he wants to bounce back your feedback. No matter what he says, use this as meeting number one, where there's going to be a second meeting coming, where if you have a viewpoint, say, sir or ma'am, listen, you've given me a lot to think about. Would you mind if I set up a meeting with you and say 2 weeks from now, let me put something on paper and bring it to you? Okay? Use this as the chance to set up a future conversation. And for that one, bring in a deck. Does that make sense? Black Raven. Sung Maxi, a lot of characters should have died. Brienne and Pod and maybe Jamie. Interesting. Yeah. At some point, the Fed pivoting, by the way, is going to be less a matter of unemployment. If you think the Fed is actually going to pivot now, I'm hearing a lot more bears now, ironically, talk about a Fed pivot than any of the bulls. And it's because of the damage being done overseas. It's basically, if you chase out liquidity from the bond market, here's what happens. There's a third mandate the Fed can use to step in. Well-functioning capital markets. They're talking about the U.S. Treasury market. Jade, any HR negotiation, fuck you, pay me. Not so much. Everything is negotiable is true. I say that. Basically, anyone trying to hire me on the HR side, it's like, listen, you're paying, to a certain degree, you're paying for my obsession. You're paying for me to be obsessed about problems and find different solutions. If the Fed hits their currently projected terminal rate and 2 years starts to 5, yep. Then all of a sudden, any stock you're buying, you need to have basically greater than 5% free cash flow yield. By the way, Qualcomm's over that. So is Microsoft, ironically. Black Raven, in yesterday's episode, the age escalated quickly. Oh, just wait. There's another jump that's still going to come. Coca-Cola, 4% free cash flow. 4% is good. Not in today's world when you can get 4% off the 2-year. But yeah, you're paying for defensive. But yeah, Black Raven, you thought the episode, the age... And by the way, Aegon jerking off on the residents of King's Landing. Beast Dad, it's incredible to watch. Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon has been tremendous. I've loved it. There's a few things I wish they would do, but man, they setting some shit up. Spoilers. I'm sorry, him jerking off on the crowd, it's not spoiler worthy. Did he finish? No. Well, did he come? Jesus Christ, man. There's just some things you don't talk about. He made it rain, yeah. Do I follow Will Mead? No. Dance of the Dragons. Death, 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 death. Correct. I've not watched Rings of Power yet. I'm waiting for that one. That and Andor are the two that I'm going to watch, but I'm going to binge watch them. House of Dragon, I'm watching weekly. Coming this fall, it's time to talk about Aegon. Yeah. Yeah, keep in mind, like, for the most part, I assume for most, presuming House of the Dragon's more than one season, and I'm almost certain it is. And most of it's still going to happen probably, quote, like 5 years from now. They have to get older. HR view on jerking off, don't. The younger brother, this is the actor who goes on to play him. So you can tell Aemon's getting older. So most of the action's still happening when it gets older, guys. What can I say? Anyway. You seen Batman with Pattinson? Great. I wanted to like it. I think the entire third act sucked. The one thing that I respect about the Batman, the one with Robert Pattinson, is that they didn't spend like 30 minutes explaining the entire background of Batman, which we've already seen like 3 separate movies do. We don't need to know the history of Batman. Pattinson was not it for Batman? Yeah. I thought Pattinson was a great Batman. I thought he was a terrible Bruce Wayne. Dark Knight, best Batman, not going to disagree. It's amazing. That fellow ADHDs, yep. Diagnosed and everything. Burry was a... I thought he was. Yeah, the Bruce Wayne part of his character sucked, yeah. I love that statement, Rad. Dark Knight is a great movie that happens to be about Batman. I love that. I love that. How are the apes doing today? Let's talk about AMC. I'm surprised. First of all, it's down 10%. Like, oh, savage. Savage. Do you know why it's down? Anyone know? Real simple answer. AMC's filed to sell 475 million shares of ape. That dilution's coming. That dilution is coming. Red shirts, it's probably super bullish. Dilution, which, by the way, I'm shocked there wasn't already dilution. I'm shocked they waited so long. Remember, they had the ability to immediately issue ape. Rad, did ape convert to AMC shares? Not yet, but ape gets to vote. There's going to be more ape shares than AMC shares, and they get the ability to vote as to whether to make it convertible. So guess what? It's going to become convertible. Nolan's new movie, Oppenheimer, looks epic. I'm sure it is. Filed to sell. They have buyers. But you thought apes were against conversion? They're going to get outvoted. Anybody buying an ape share? What's ape at right now? AMC's at 7. So right now you have arbitrage. You can buy a share of ape for 380 and dropping, with the ability to eventually vote to make it convertible into AMC. Yeah. Last Standing Bear wrote something about dilution being accretive. Oh, God. Don't use confusing words, my friend. Yes, Air earnings are in 10 days. The Treasury, bonds are so fucked up right now. Oh, look at this. You have the VIX doing well, you have natural gas doing well, coffee, canola, and the US dollar doing well. Everything else sucks. Interesting, Caffeine. One Whitehall official tells me that they're not sure the bank can hold the week without a move if the pound falls further. The focus now shifts to how U.S. markets react, followed by what Asia does tonight. Guys, be careful piling on bearish bets, particularly right now, because at some point, governments may have to start stepping in. The U.S. government, nope. J-Pow, he can do what he said he was going to do. But right now, if you're in Europe, if you're Japan, we know what they're going to do. They're winning on all this, believe it or not. It's particularly for the EU, particularly for the UK, because supposedly they don't have a lot of capital reserves to even defend their currency. While I'm making, how is Japan winning? They're getting inflation for the first time in 30 years. They've been looking for inflation for 30 years. They finally fucking found it. Japan feels like they're winning. Their currency turns to shit. They're actually happy. M. Hanzik, what's my thoughts on Skyworks? Nope. Do not like Skyworks. All right. Skyworks has a lot of risk. They are exposed to cell phones and not the right kind. By the way, they also have a lot of Apple risk. The difference is Apple can replace them. There's other companies that do what Skyworks does. Apple has been trying to replace Qualcomm for close to a decade. They can't because no one makes a better modem. People make better RF sets, which I believe is what Skyworks specifically sells to Apple. So with Skyworks, you have a company with a lot of Apple exposure, plus a lot of Android, the cheaper side. They have a lot of pre-purchase supply agreements, and those are working against them. Consumer is weak. Skyworks has a lot of consumer-facing business. You're asking for a friend who's holding massive bags on Skyworks? Ouch. Someone say money. I wonder what Apple's been doing to the modem team they acquired from Intel. Sweeping the floors. Yeah. How's Qualcomm doing? Qualcomm was actually not shitting themselves nearly as much as I was worried they were. Garfo, that was because I was looking at VIX futures. That may have been the case. I don't know. I do not play Rust now. I guess Apple's holding up, which is fucking shocking. Costco is doing well. If you're wondering if there's any reason, no. There isn't. Costco reported last week, did very well. Will I play Rust? I don't know I've never played Rust. It's not the type of game I think I would want to play, and I'm not sure it's the type of game that people would want to see me play. Semis are fab. I'm fucking with you. The details of his budget, I don't get the UK at all. It's really bad decision making. Short Rust. Long iron. Is there some like streamer event? Like if a major streamer is like, "Hey Jay, we think you'd be really funny to play games with," because I think I'm very funny to play games with. I would absolutely do it. The Plaza Accords, yes. To depreciate the US dollar in relation to the franc, Deutschmark, the yen, and the British pound by intervening. Yeah. I'm funny regardless. Why, thank you, my friend. Play Dead by Daylight? No, I've never played it. You'll carry me in Rust. Oh, wow. Listen, I play Goose Goose Duck, and people that play with me seem to invite me back. So, Baxi, play your PP. No. Are there any trade setups I like? No, there's way too much uncertainty. I am just fucking sitting back. This is not a market I'm even trying to trade right now. Here's the problem, guys. Fundamentally on economics, for the US-centric, I am just as... nothing to me has changed in the last 3 weeks. All of the data I have seen still suggests inflation has peaked. Inflation is coming down faster than economic activity, i.e. growth. That's positive to me. The problem is now, everything outside the United States looks like a basket of shit. They're all at a stage of panic, quite frankly. All right? The other fear that I have is even if the Fed sees inflation going down, they're going to shoot the body. They're going to over-tighten by intent. They're going to make sure inflation dies. I'm with ChemLife. Survival mode. Just get through. I don't know when the perspective changes, but when that happens, we will snap back at some point. I do not think we're looking at a lost decade. Not for the US, at least. Europe has some tough decisions to make. Red shirts, I love this observation. Half of Costco profit margin comes from resilient membership fees. They are chilling as long as the consumer looks for value. Are you dead wrong? Nope, not at all. The British pound is getting pounded. If you're young and have long-term horizon and savings, I would absolutely put it this way. If you are passively investing through 401ks, etc., keep doing it. Keep doing it. You're fine. Yep, ChemLife points out correctly. Even if we get a lost decade on the index level, there will be companies and sectors that have great returns. Yep. Why is EU teeth? I don't even want to fucking know. Yeah, there are so many really good companies, guys, that if you go anything longer than a 1 year time frame, I'm sorry, these companies are in fine shape. Would I short the euro at this time? No. No. I would step the fuck away from currency. Right now, I would not invest in currency markets. Way too much risk there. Remember, the difference between currencies and individual stocks, for example, it's a lot easier and a lot more likely to see currency interventions than individual stocks. Would I long crude? Not right now. Do you think Natty will rally hard next year when LNG exporting capabilities from the US improves? It may actually drop. It's an interesting question. As part of the question is like which type of natural gas? You talking about like Dutch or are you talking about like Henry Hub US? I don't know. The pain ends after boomers capitulate out of fear. Nope. I think the pain ends one of two ways. Either a quote great crash or the great wheeze. And I still think the great wheeze is much more likely. It's about Henry Hub? Yes, I figured. Yeah. The great wheeze, by the way, it's simply this. As time goes on, we don't see the economic destruction hitting companies. Essentially, US companies in particular, but global companies walk out of this economic setup, they're relatively fine. The world goes back to, quote, normal. There is no great crash. By the way, I'm talking economics. I'm not talking about the market. This is completely independent of the market. The market can hit 3,000. The market can go lower than that, and that doesn't impact us. I'm talking about specifically company earnings, real GDP, nominal GDP, all of that. The UK is making Brexit for financial systems. Yep. Someone say money. What if J-Pal sees unemployment rocketing up? Enough to pause? To what? Unemployment rocketing up to what? That's the real question. Because right now we're at what? 3.6? Maybe in a bad day, 3.7? That is historically low. If you saw unemployment going, say, above 5%, maybe that's when he'll start to look. But the likelihood of unemployment jumping to that level and inflation not being, quote, whipped is probably small. I think there's an interesting issue on the data they're looking at. One of you guys pointed this out already. I think they're getting very bad data. They're making their decisions on bad data, particularly on job openings. I think they're overcounting job openings. I don't think the job market is quite as robust. And if you guys caught the Dallas data that came out this morning, it kind of suggests the same thing. Let's pull it up. This is kind of cool. Here we go. Dallas Fed manufacturing data showing a clear slowdown in a lot of measures and a relative cooling in price and supply pressures. But the mechanism the Fed and other hawkish commentators want to see deployed, employment declines, isn't showing up yet. All right, so here's the thing. You're going to hear the headline, Dallas Fed September business activity was negative 17.2 versus August's negative 12.9. Okay? Look at the components. All right? Look at the components. First of all, we're actually doing better than we were in June and July. Company outlook, relatively stable. Production was up big. Capacity utilization up big. New orders, down from last month, not as bad as we saw July and June. Growth rate of orders, stable. Unfilled orders. This is super important, by the way. All right? It's at its lowest. All right? It's at its lowest. Shipments up. Delivery time down. This is big. Finished good inventories. This is why it was so big negative, by the way. It's down. These are month to month, I believe. All right. Prices paid for raw materials actually showed a little acceleration from last month, but nonetheless, still way down for what we observed, for example, in June. Prices received was down big. Wages and benefits down big. Employment hangs in there. Inflation has already peaked. You see it show up in a lot of these sub-indexes. This is not bad news. If you actually go in depth, this is good news for the Fed. Reed, what would overcounted jobs mean? Sure. So, I'm not going to get into the full reason as to why, but I'll tell you this much. For EEOC, for affirmative action program planning, you need to be able to isolate per job a qualified applicant pool. Part of it's based on location. So if I am Accenture and I'm hiring like project managers, I may have one position, but I don't care where the position is held. All right, the position can be in New York, can be in San Francisco, could be in Miami, could be in Chicago. I'm going to send your ass anyway. I have to open 4 job openings on a job board for that one position. So if you source data, if you just scrape data from job boards, it looks like 4 open jobs. In truth, it's 1 open job. Does that make sense, Read One? JB goes, since you're on the topic of work life, you work for an engineering consultancy that has a profit margin of 14% plus, but management has removed unnecessary costs, such as traveling and socializing, because the budget goal was 15%. The mood is insanely bad. The order stock is fine, rates fine, but the budgets were set after several acquisitions where people didn't stay, and now more are leaving. You lean towards management making a mistake, but maybe you're missing something. No, you're probably not missing shit. You're probably exactly right. It's the way it works. Yeah, Reed. It's one of the poor, like, that's the thing. If the Fed, quote, over tightens, they will have done it based on bad data, which will not make us feel good. Am I scared of the hurricane? No. I'm in Georgia. I'm inland. We get rain. We could use some rain. That's that. I'll be fine. I'm not in Tampa. Apple at 150. Not today, Satan. Let's see what the spy. Yeah, actually, I mean, reasonably. What the fuck just happened? Yeah, Sundar Pichai's comments for Google. Need to separate fun from spending money. Yeah. Yeah. The 2 p.m. algo got turned on. Nice. Do I use a MacBook? No. I use an iPad. I have an iPhone, and I have Apple TV, and I love them all. Ooh, careful, Spencer. Did you catch the Philippine storm? Super typhoon. Did you catch what happened here? Noru? For those of you who don't know, I track the weather for fun. Okay, I want to show you guys. It's fucking terrifying. So, first of all, does everyone know the science behind storms? All right. Let me explain to you very quickly all you need to know. Warm water makes storms stronger. The second a storm goes over mainland, it loses access to warm water. They weaken pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. So there was a typhoon, Noru, that had just smacked the Philippines, and it smacked it pretty strong. The problem was that it was a storm. Then within the last 24 hours, it went what's called intensification. It's where a storm basically just gets stronger and stronger. Usually because the water it goes over is warmer and warmer. All right? The same thing happened, by the way, with Hurricane Katrina. That was fucking infuriating for people. Because Katrina hit Florida first. It was weak. Then it stopped in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. For those that don't know, Gulf of Mexico is ridiculously warm. And all it did is get stronger and stronger and stronger. And then it went inland. Yep. Low energy pressure systems affected by wind shear, gaining energy from warm out water systems. Fuel. Yep. What's crazy, Windmaster, was the analytics team at Sears Holdings did a lot of like weather prediction stuff because of the impact the weather would have on sales. It was really cool. Zohair led that team. It was amazing. But yeah. So the concern is that you see rapid intensification of storms, because literally within a 24-hour time period, this thing got a lot more powerful. So that's my cautionary note on like Ian. If Ian slows down before it goes to mainland, it can intensify fast. Yep, Newfoundland just got slammed. Yep. Jordy, didn't they think of nuking the Fuck off. Don't make me laugh. So I mean, Kalshi gambling on hurricanes is making you so much money. I should set up a Kalshi account. Do Kalshi gambling. Rust.money, just divert it with a Sharpie. Love my chat. Spencer, you're sitting about 12 feet under a cell tower. That explains a lot about you, by the way. I'm kidding. I love me some Spencer. Spy, I mean, when are we in a gamer stream? Did you guys even, like, here's the thing, like in the evening time, I'm not going to do it during market hours, but in the evening time, if I log back on to do gaming, are you guys going to give a shit? Right? Like, will you guys even care? You don't think I know enough to talk stocks? I don't think you're wrong. I prefer to talk about markets, news. Okay? I want to be like CNBC with the sex appeal, right? Or CNN or BBC. Depends on the game. Fair enough. 10 of us will care minimum? Yeah. Do my politics talk? Yeah. Show us your BBC. I figured tennis, don't worry. Play capitalism too. Oh man. That could be fun. Maybe one of these days I'll try a gaming stream. You think Jay want to be Kramer? I do. I do. I've been open about that. I would love to be the version of Kramer. A little bit less on the low-key coke abuse. A lot more on the out in the open cocaine abuse. Knockout City, it's a fun game. Ooh. No, not Excel. I refuse to. I've done enough Excel in my life. I'm glad I don't have to turn that fucking thing on. But with climate change comes more hurricanes. Or just stronger ones. Or just more unique ones. Reed, Kramer, June low, which I said could hold, will not hold at the 2-year, needs to go to 4.75. That's too much pressure. I agree with that viewpoint. By the way, so far the low has held. That's the crazy fucking thing. News has only gotten worse. Now, if we close today, right where we are, we'll made a new closing low. Nothing would shock me. Knockout City is a dodgeball game. That could be fun. Look at it for a second. Ooh. That could be interesting. By the way, you guys have seen this, right? Because a lot of you sent me clips of it. This is Bussy. Bussi. I'm not joking. This is a mascot from Spanish Transit Authority. He's fucking amazing. I love him. Everything about him. If I ever did LSD again, I would assume to see nothing but him, and my life would be great. Our golden... Exactly. If you guys don't like Bussy, you are in the wrong fucking stream. Go join, like, Meet Kevin or Trey's Trades or some shit like that. He looks up magnificent. Stop. I will not have this, Gaseous Clay. Shut up, Cali Otter. He may be shaped like a butt plug, but he's our butt plug. Look at him. Jordy, that's... Yeah. See that, dude? Is there a safe way to do LSD with good friends? You have to be very convinced. Mind over matter. Mind over matter. So you guys want to fuck with someone, if they're on LSD, they don't know what they're doing, tell them they pissed themselves. They will think they have to, they will think they've either wet themselves to the point of feeling wetness for like 2 hours in a row. It's torture, by the way. Don't do that. But you can do that. Dying to try DMT, just do LSD. LSD's better. I'm sorry, do not do drugs. Twitch, I did not tell people to do drugs. No, I would never do that. Drugs are bad. You guys should not do drugs. Doing LSD while skiing? That sounds fucking brilliant. No, I don't know. What if you gave a friend LSD and took them out to a Halloween costume party? I wish I was your friend. I'll tell you that much. Start with shrooms, doesn't last as long. That's probably true. Yeah. LSD can last 12 hours if you're lucky. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Also, manage your vitamins. Am I trying to be banned? Shit, there was that girl that had sex on stream and she got banned for like 7 days. Ugh. Then you got streamers like what, sexually assaulting each other? I'm sorry. Touching them while they're asleep. And that the funny thing is like all these different streamers are talking about it and all of them are getting like hundreds of thousands of views on this. They're like monetizing sexual harassment, sexual assault. Into the K, I think. Hold on. Is it? I forgot the streamer's name. Credit investors, semiconductor people, high yields. Yields is the percentage of each wafer that's usable. June low, which I said could hold, will not hold if the 2-year needs to go to 4.75. It's too much pressure. The 2 years controlling everything in the companies, for the most part, are shut out of the market. By the way, you guys know the 87,000 new IRS agents is to replace 85,000 that are going to retire over the next 10 years. I'm just saying, there's a lot of people intentionally like misinterpreting it. Lara, you had fun playing Halo with a couple friends when they were on LSD back in the day. Not sure they had fun. We used to do that with GoldenEye. Yep. Boy, when someone picked Odd Job, we just beat the fuck out of them in the room. Streaming is Big Brother, but the odd. Yes, agreed. Hey, Copper's Metal, how you doing, my friend? Some people replaced reality TV with Twitch. I agree. %20 of the S&P is trading under 10 times next 12 months PE, 50% trading under 15, 70% trading under 20. Wow. There are some really good companies. The live stream fails. Yeah, I've been reading that. And meanwhile, I'm like, who the fuck are these people? Gaseous Clay, you had a no odd job rule. We eventually put that in place. Seeking Waifu, why not buy the stocks that like Wayfair that went from 28 to 355? Now it's back to 36. I don't think they're going to be good. Compare that to like a Qualcomm. It's 125 now, basically hit 190 at its highest. I'm much more comfortable buying that because I know why they should go up. I don't know if Wayfair is going to, from like a financial stamp, basically, did the only reason they hit their level of 3 whatever just because of, quote, free money, whereas Qualcomm, I don't think, relies on free money for a valuation standpoint. Yeah, it's the Prometheum aspect, which is why buy X when, you know, blank is trading at blank. And in this case, blank can be either like Microsoft, it can be like Google, it can be like Qualcomm. ChemLife, what's Qualcomm's top line China exposure? Pretty significant. Pretty significant. But since they're not in the AI space, it's not the. Put it this way, Qualcomm's got the same risk as virtually every other company in the world that if you see like a full-blown like war between the two countries, they're just as fucked. But in terms of like an NVIDIA or AMD like targeted restriction, Qualcomm's got no risk. You had a free beer rule winning with Jaws. That's brilliant. Jaws was bigger. Lonesome Frogface. Do I think JPOW is going to pivot at the end of the year if everything, including core inflation and housing, but employment goes down? I think it's as simple as this. If inflation is down, JPOW pauses. I don't think pivots in their fucking vocabulary right now, meaning lowering rates. But if inflation drops, as I expect it will, I think by the end of the year, they will be in the position where pausing makes sense. Core inflation. Core inflation. Bostic, Raphael Bostic. Current high inflation, very much the product of the pandemic and the policy response to it. I agree. Ooh, Garfo. Garfo, by the way, is raising a really good question. Wouldn't a QT pivot be the more logical than a Fed funds rate? Yes. Yes. Does dot plot suggest a pivot at some point next, like what, 2024? And yeah, the The Fed funds rate, I think, like the dot plot said in like 2024, I think they would quote cut. B-Hood, did I ever peep that Professor Siegel video? Yeah, we watched it last week. It was wild. I see a lot of people saying, like, of course Jeremy Siegel's pissed. His retirement's getting thrashed. No. Jeremy Siegel, by the way, early on was bitching that the Fed was not tightening soon enough. And I actually agree with him. I think the aggressive Fed, that's why I've switched a lot more bearish since FOMC. And some of you guys pointed out, like, wait, why is Jay getting bearish? Because my traditional argument was I'm looking at, inflation data and I see inflation rolling over. Then I saw the Fed data where basically said they also see inflation going down. They don't care. They're going to keep hiking. That's a different situation to me. That changes things dramatically. Yep, CY through. Add it to the list. Transitory, soft landing, pivot. Still think transitory is correct. No one likes the time frame. For years, Wall Street told investors not to buy gold because there was no inflation. Now Wall Street is telling the investors to sell gold because the Fed will fight hard to vanquish the high inflation. Peter Schiff does not get to win. Gold will not work. B-Hood, it's not that I disagree with you. Yeah, daily reminder, fuck Peter Schiff. B-Hood says, here's your current beef with the Fed, J-Pow. They're treating this inflation bout like the 70s, 80s. They're using a run book based on a totally different scenario from half a fucking century ago. Everything about this is different. I do not disagree with you one bit. The one thing that I would suggest, what if they're just jawboning inflation? There is a good chance that the Fed does not believe those projections they put out. Everything they are doing specifically is to chase the market in a direction, not to do shit. Bert Belichick, you read an article on Yahoo that the Fed is focused on lowering the price of houses, and that is why they will continue hiking interest rates. The main point of the article was hiking interest rates directly. Yeah, I agree. Is there a buy opportunity in the UK? No. Even assuming the UK currency wasn't shit, what are their business? They have the same energy issues the EU has. Their economy is not dynamic. No. Immigration's going to fuck them over worse, meaning they're not going to get enough immigration. Yeah. I would be much quicker to invest in Germany than I would in the UK. To that point, Intel had an announcement over the weekend. I don't know if you guys spot this one. Intel has chosen the northeastern Italian town of Vigasio, I'm probably butchering it, sorry, for a new 4.5 billion euro, which is only 4.4 billion US dollars, chip packaging plant. This is such a bad call. Heads up, Euros, you're not going to like this. Why the fuck build an advanced packaging plant? High capital investment's going to require a lot of employees as well in a place that every so often just loves throwing strikes for God fucking knows what reason. I don't get it. I do not think this venture will work well. Yep, I saw the new Italian prime minister. The North is not the South, Jay. It's still Italy. Yeah, I know it's very different. Yep, in Italy. Is the market just going to fall over? Is it? It's been showing a lot of heart. Yeah, the 10-year's been going nuts. Someone say money. Fab assembly line going and gets fucked up due to siesta time. Yeah. I'm on it. Question for any of the permables here. Were you concerned when J-Pow kept interest rates at 0 while buying record amounts of treasuries? I think the bigger issue would have absolutely been the purchase of the MBSs. I don't know why the U.S. is so infatuated with continually inflating its housing bubble. It's the one act of inflation everyone fucking seems to love, and I'll never understand that. That to me is the most damaging. People may sit there. I mean, notice something, okay? Inflation took off after the Ukraine conflict. The interesting question was, if there wasn't the Ukraine conflict, what would the pace of inflation been? Either way, I think when history looks back on this, purchasing MBSs as late in the game as they were, that was the critical flaw. I think they'll get forgiven for interest rates. I think it will be the MBSs in particular. That was really bad. Paul Foster, I'm with you. Market's doing relatively well considering the Dixie bonds. Yeah. We should be limit down. We should be absolute limit down when you look at what's going on in the currencies today. There's no reason to buy any US stock. There's none. Long-term standpoint, sure. Companies are fine. The economics for the US has not changed. The market dynamics have. M. Hanzik, he was asked about MBS selling at the last conference. He didn't dodge it. He shot it down. He can't sell it. He can't sell it. Market's fucking dead right now. If he sells MBSs instead of rolling off, what happens to the yields? Yield spike. There's no buyers. There's nobody bidding on them. He can't sell it right now. Bond VIX still well below June highs. It's orderly. This is orderly death. Everyone knows we should be going down. They're comfortable with it. They've accepted it. She puts the pretty in pretty nationalist. Yeah. Europe's had shit policy for the last, over a decade. They're going to have some reaction to this. It's almost, quote, natural. Italy's the Argentina of Europe. I love it. I always thought it'd be Greece, but okay. If yields spike, buyers should appear. But Jordy, here's the issue. The usual buyers of U.S. treasuries, you're right, buyers should appear. But the usual buyers of treasuries, of U.S. treasuries, is foreign governments. And right now, these governments, to defend their own currency, needs U.S. dollars, not U.S. treasuries. So they're selling U.S. treasuries to get U.S. dollars. Greece is Venezuela. Oh, wow. That's the funny thing. If you're American right now with a lot of money, Europe looks cheap. We call Argentinians Italians that speak Spanish. 7.5%. Is it 7 or 7.5? I think that's what limit down is. I don't mean literal limit down, but we should be dead right now. Like the whole market should be a lot deader. Over the weekend, the pound got pounded horrifically. Salt Rocks Melt. Ever consider the counterfactual? If Trump and Macron lost their elections and Putin proceeded with the... I don't know. I want to be cautious about stepping in that direction because I've heard a lot of people make the argument that says Putin wouldn't have invaded if Trump won the election, like if Trump was in power. And I think those people are fucking crazy. Yep, Simmons are fab. I like that viewpoint. It's nice to finally have a reasonable explanation as to why the market is dying. I agree with that. Market would die a few months ago and everyone's like, oh no, it's because Fed's hiking into a recession. And we're like, no, that's not the concern. You can see the Fed funds market's already priced a lot of that shit in. Or they'd say, oh, it's because earnings are going to get cut. Guess what? That didn't happen either. Earnings did just fine. Earnings did just fine. Overlay here, I like that, yeah. It's the overlay, clearly. Marginal. Everyone thought they could price in a recession before it began, which never worked in the history. You realize we still don't have a recession, right? You know that, right? Liking it? I think I may have liked it. Here we go. Yeah, before it began. Yeah, fair enough. Hey, look at this. These are 4 of the 6 coincident factors that the MBER looks at before calling a recession. Usually they call it when all of them are negative. Not a single one of them is negative. But notice the direction all of them have been pointing out. Look at this. GDP revisions for last quarter is this week, yes. And then we had PCE this Friday. Look at these factors. All right. Funny thing is, real income ex transfer payments actually went up. That's almost like pretty fucking shocking. But yeah, this is the better measure. This is the better measure, believe it or not, of the question as to whether we're going to go through a recession. And to me, here's why I still hold on to the fact that we get a recession next year. Look at the direction all of these are pointing. Link you, sure thing. So the only one I saw pointing up is the real income ex transfer payments. Slight on PCE. Very slight. The point is, when these go negative, MBER is more likely to declare a recession. None of them are negative. None of them. So just wait for 2023, right? It's more likely. See, waifu, usually GDP moves in combination with these. That's why the term technical recession gets thrown around. And I wish there was a greater appreciation. The fact that we had 2, quote, negative GDP quarterly prints, you guys have to understand part of the calculation included the inventory buildup and import-export balances. It was wild. It was such a weird one. Such a weird one. Steezy, you always have to redo Prime subs every month. Twitch doesn't want to make it automatic. They don't want to give away money for free. Yeah, they're assholes. Recession next year because it hasn't happened this year. It's only 3 months away. Yeah. Well, look how wild, earlier on this year, real PCE, personal consumption, at one point was 15.5%. Wild. While making, what do you mean by import-export imbalances causing negative GDP? Sure. So basically, for a time period earlier on this year, supply chains were so broken, but you saw a lot more goods being shipped into the US than were able to be shipped out. So it created a big trade imbalance that actually worked against our GDP. So on our GDP calculations, you will subtract out the imports, but you add back in the number of exports. Because of supply chain issues, we weren't exporting a lot, but we were still importing a good amount. So it produced a one-time, like, real big negative GDP hit. If you took out import, export, and inventory builds, we wouldn't have had a negative GDP. But that's like saying if you take out, like, the boobs and butt, then the girl would be pretty good looking, right? So who are you, Art Vendele? No comment. So yeah, that's a pretty important thing to keep in mind. These other economic, indicators that real economists use, keep that in mind. By the way, there was interesting news from TSMC that was released. Where is it? Here's the chart. TSMC's, quote, non-wafer revenue in billions. What's non-wafer revenue? Packaging services. Packaging. You can't necessarily just keep shrinking transistors as easily or as cheaply. Well, now companies use TSMC to stitch together different, what they call compound semiconductors. Okay. They're making more in packaging than, like, Global Foundries is making, period. Super big. AMD chiplets, exactly. TSMC does the chiplet technology. They're the ones that actually have instituted it. So yeah, advanced packaging is around 2/3 of total non-wafer revenue currently. Advanced packaging will continue to outgrow the corporate average. Yeah, Steezy, we already mentioned Win and LVS. In Macau, they're opening back up. They're going to accept tour groups from throughout China. Big up. We keep testing 363. One of these days, we're going to go under it. Because those two have more. Yes. Las Vegas Sands should rename themselves. They don't have Las Vegas positions. They sold the Sands. What's J Pow talking about tomorrow morning? Your portfolio specifically and how much he wants to see it die. No, I have no clue. If you guys are looking for some sense of optimism, we're not dying. We should be dying. Spencer, yes, I did actually. Interview with ASML's chief technology officer talking about that it's not feasible to start researching hyper NA. NA stands for numerical aperture because, one, there is no competition in high NA, and two, the cost would be immense. Sounds about right. The janitor, you don't think we're dying right now? As crazy as it sounds, no, not with the currency markets doing what they are. The currency markets doing what they're doing right now, I was expecting today to be much worse. Much worse. We're not dead yet. I know the janitor. That's fucked up, huh? I know. First time chat. Thank you for participating, by the way. This is usually a channel associated more with bullish thought. And yet here you got me going like, I thought we'd be much dead. Yeah, still have time to be much worse. Yeah. No, don't pump the SPY. Wait a bit. We'll see. Hey, Jetski, how you doing? You did the SPY to 280 by mid 2023. Bold strategy. Yeah, the Dixie enormous. Yep. You got to remember, last Friday, the UK decided, fuck screwing up monetary policy. We are going to fuck up fiscal policy too. Announced a bunch of tax cuts. Was not well received. And then all weekend long, you've had nothing but more bad news and movements in the currency markets. The fact that we're not down like 2% today is a fucking shock to me. We should be. We should be down a lot worse today. Kimbo Slice, is it possible we aren't dying because we priced in a recession that no longer looks immediate? Could be. I'm not likely to lean that direction. If anything, I think it's because, let me show you something. A lot of the active selling has probably already been done. The other thing, there's always people to sell. The other aspect is a kind of a spin on TINA. TINA stands for there is no alternative. So right now, as bad as the US market looks, everywhere else looks worse. So much worse. At what price would I buy Meta? I would not buy Meta. I would not buy Meta. I look at a company like Microsoft. I don't care if Meta is running cheaper than Microsoft. I have a lot more confidence in Microsoft than I do Meta. Oh, God, Cass. Yeah, super good question. In what way do global Forex markets affect the U.S. stock market for the short term? Here you go. I mean, it's a lot more complex, and no one shit on me for being too simple on this one. All right. The number one thing is that currencies themselves trade on, quote, supply and demand, usually on the basis of import-export balances. Okay. So if you're in the UK and you import a lot more goods than you export, you need that other currency, say US dollars, say euro, and you do that by using your own currency. So you buy or you sell your own currency. All right. So when you start seeing currencies get fucking destroyed, it creates a negative feedback loop where that currency gets cheaper and cheaper as outside sources then start selling. Usually governments prop them up by buying that currency. So right now, part of the issue on the US dollar is everyone needs US dollars. So they're selling US treasuries to get access to US dollars. Because the US treasuries, if you sell it, what you're getting back is US dollars. And they're using that to defend their own currency. So the cheaper all of these, what's it called? All of these other currencies getting cheaper, as they're defending them, they're essentially pushing up the US dollar. What's this? Twitter volume on Musk, no deposition? Wait, what? No deposition? Hold on. Why? Hold on, guys. This might be big. Elon is not happening today. Wait, like, that could be a big deal for Twitter. You can see it's moving up now. The reason why is because if there's a settlement, there would not be a deposition. Gary Black, who is a big Tesla bull, but he's worth listening to. He's not stupid. His head's not up his ass. In fact, a lot of time he's been pointing out he thinks Elon is badly outpositioned in this case. But he has pointed out a very true statement, which is oftentimes if there's going to be a settlement, it usually occurs either right immediately before or right immediately after a deposition. A deposition is Elon Musk giving information, etc., under oath. He can't lie, and that information becomes essentially part of the public record. So Twitter's absolutely moving up. Gary Black's an Elon simp, correct, but he's not the worst category of Elon simp. Jet ski is correct here. The Dixie should tell you everything you need to know. The start of a global crunch, and the reserve currency is flying. Cash is no longer trash. Or at the very least, cash is the least trash. How about that? XC Runner, thank you very much for the sub. Sorry you've been out for the past month. Staffing shortages have been brutal. Hey, that's okay. We're happy to have you back, my friend. And 9 months. So yeah, down lemur, it could be a purchase agreement. It could be, or Elon had a sore throat or something they rescheduled. I don't know. Sexiest horse in the glue factory. I like that expression. I like that. Yeah. Are people seeing this as a sign of settlement? I don't know. Listen, that's why it's going up. That's the exact logic. If they canceled Elon Musk, remember, this trial's happening like in what, 3 weeks? He needs to fucking hurry. He can't delay it. Not without jeopardizing his case. This judge has made it clear she does not want anything holding back this trial because she sees a high chance of irreparable harm to Twitter. Reddit Swap's correct. The attorneys asked for an extension to prepare tomorrow's hearing. That could be the case. Either way, I mean, we'll find out. I assume we'll find out. But Twitter's fucking loving it. Yeah, Twitter went green. My biggest position right now is Twitter in my my DGen account. So I'm happy. I want to see it go up more. $30-year Apple bonds almost yielding 5%. Twitter is fucking clapping cheeks. You said the market's mooning. Why is that? That's at 365. Elon is the modern day Donald Trump. No. No. They're very different. Elon Musk is a very intelligent person. I don't want to get political. Remember, 366.6 is the level I'm looking at. Why? Because if we close above that, we still haven't made a new ending low. Seeking Waifu to the calls that never filled. Oh, I'm sorry, Seeking Waifu. I'm so sorry. Hey, Jay, any thoughts on LOI? Lily? Hold on, Shut up, Reed. I'm not disagreeing with you. Listen, it already closed at 3. You realize if the closing lows for this year hold, the low was 3666. I am hoping it stays just so we have that number. Otherwise, what? 3420? Is that the next meme low? Come on. Vote today. 36669. Are my BHC shares, you mean calls? They're still down, I know that much. But not by much. Only down 30%. I only play them small. I probably should have played them bigger. I'll tell you right now, GlaxoSmithKline's a piece of shit. I fucking hate them now. Anyway, Reddit swap. Back to Eli Lilly. isn't Eli Lilly, isn't it their, are they the ones with that obesity drug, which may be like the greatest selling drug from a projection standpoint of all time? Who do I hate now? You, Spencer. I hate you. No, a lot of countries are selling U.S. treasuries for U.S. dollar to defend their own currency. Shouldn't that put negative pressure? No, because they're essentially using that to buy the U.S. dollar. Ironically, when they sell those treasuries, that pushes the price, and that pushes the price of the treasury down, pushes the yield up, pushes the dollar up more. All right, yeah. So Eli Lilly is also the weight loss drug. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, guys. Don't even talk about CDAW, dude. Fucking hate them. I will never invest in that company again. But yeah, the Eli Lilly story, here's the thing. I don't think that PE is correct. I think, and the market doesn't think it's correct either, because look at this fucker. I believe the belief on Eli Lilly is if this drug is fully commercialized the next year, it's going to be one of the best-selling drugs ever. Imagine that. A weight loss drug for Americans. Come on, guys. The memes, the jokes, they don't even do that justice. You invest in that shit. Jesus Christ. Keep going, Twitter. I am cheering for Twitter right now. I'm cheering for Twitter every day. Do we have news on Twitter, guys? Please, if you can, keep your eyes out on it. Why does this guy keep doing this? Well, he tags me, and so I don't know who he is. Anyway. Nova North also got a weight loss drug. Yeah, they do. Diabetes. Diabetes. Spies, I mean, listen, I don't want to scare it. Okay, but Spy found some milk. All right, good for them. I mean, are we not gonna, we're not gonna close at a new low. We're fighting. You think the Spy's gonna reject from the 200-day? Good. There are lobbying about drugs to be cheaper, and there is a new bill to make diabetes drugs cheaper, and senators are buying UNH stocks. Really? If you guys feel the need to be long on something, I'm telling you right now, UNH doesn't give a fuck about Europe. They don't give a fuck about Asia. United Healthcare Group might as well be United States Healthcare. And we don't know why it's not happening. But apparently the Elon Musk deposition, which was supposed to start today, is not happening. That's why Twitter's up, by the way. Age of Neil. Meta's the ultimate weight loss stock pick. In a meta future, our offline world appearance won't matter. Yeah. If you're sliding in a hearse and your toe count has reverse diabetes. What the fuck? Carna Twitch. All you hear is United Healthcare is the worst, fucker. Yeah. This is Twitter. Twitter is just clapping all the cheeks. Good for them. They're up now 2%. Look at this. Fucking erect. Steezy, any healthcare company is shit to deal with. That's why you buy stock in them. It's defensive. They're not done, guys. No. Twitter is not done. And we don't have a reason, right? If they're working out a deal, this should be a lot more. Yeah, my account's gone like obnoxiously green on the day. Should go straight to 50, I agree. United Healthcare, selected by Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services to serve Medicare beneficiaries. That should be good for them. 54.2. Don Lemur, don't kick yourself. Lawbad, apparently Elon Musk's deposition today got canceled. No one knows why. If there was going to be a settlement, it would happen right before, theoretically. There's numerous times it should have already happened. It was going to happen one. But theoretically, right before or right after a deposition's a good time, traditionally. Look at, I mean, just fucking erect out of nowhere. Pull, thank you. All right, guys. 366, absolutely. 366 is going to be our level. Don't hurt me no more. All right, folks, you got 2 minutes. I'm going to get some food. I will be right back. Get your bets in. If you do not see the poll, refresh, refresh, refresh. Set timer for 6 minutes. Okay. Reddit swap. Can't Eli just lie and then lawyer up? Nobody puts him in jail for lying under. You don't believe that, do you? Damn. I mean, has there been... Do we know why? Because if this is just for some thing... Wait, depositions for Elon Musk and Twitter's CEOs have been postponed? There's a deal. There's a fucking deal. Probably wouldn't get jail time. Do you know how contempt of court works? Lying under oath? Yeah, he would go to fucking jail. Even for a civil case, if you lie, you're fucked. You can't lie to a judge. And Christine McCormick does not fuck around. Weekly Twitter calls? Honestly, yeah. Downleamer, you can get in big trouble, but jail time would be a stretch. It would be up to the judge completely. Yep, Lonesome Frogface. We pointed that earlier. Apple bonds are ridiculous. Windmaster, I'm surprised you haven't bought Apple bonds. You've been buying like bonds of all sorts of companies, and you're like, fuck it, this company's not dying. You're underwater on your bonds? Yeah. Still holding? Yeah. Dumb question, but how do you buy company bonds? With cash. Net. Gotta love it. Looks like depositions being rescheduled in advance of a 3-hour oral argument on 7 outstanding fact discovery motions is completely normal and not as interesting as the all caps tweets make it sound. Yep. So don't buy weeklies. This is the account to trust. Hey, Vestimab, how you doing? You said you're surprised we aren't green today for a little relief. I'm fucking surprised we haven't just died. Over the weekend, there was no good news on the currency front. And currency's a true risk. If the reason we're not down as much is because this gives more credence to a quote Fed pivot, all right, it's interesting. You're surprised long duration bonds are still selling off so hard? Maybe lots of foreign selling? Has to be. Has to be Prometheum. Has to be. Let me go grab my food and my beer. I'll be right back. Okay, folks, thank you for being patient. Back with my food. Wait, Master, you're saying there's going to be some changes to the QE schedule? The QT makes sense. Oh, the $100 million New Jersey deli scheme. What the fuck happened to the market? In which direction? Popo Mojo, by the way, thanks for the first time chat. Which direction? I'm surprised the market's not down more. Currency's not a good thing. Jetski, am I stoked that Rihanna is performing in this? I have no care. None. I thought Prince was the best. Prince was fantastic. I also thought Bruno Mars was pretty good. Do I think buying real estate in the Caribbean is really risky? From what standpoint? Like a financial standpoint? From a hurricane standpoint? I don't know. It's a good question. Bruno Mars was a great show. Yeah, Prince is fucking Prince. Nord Stream pressure drop detected on both strings. Oh god, is that Nord Stream 1 or Nord Stream 2? Is J-Pow going to make another announcement? No. He's going to give a speech. He gives those speeches all the time, but in terms of like for example, I know people talk about like, well, are we going to see an intermediate bank rate hike? No. He's way too conscious of freaking out the markets like that. There would have to be a really good reason. So I wouldn't bet on it. Yeah, they are. Your significant other is from Martinique. Well, congratulations. I'm willing to bet she's fucking gorgeous. Wants to move back now that we can work remote. Trying to decide if we sell the Canada house. All right, Martinique. Okay. This. Sorry, what part of Canada are you from again? This is Martinique. All right. Quebec. Got it. Okay. So, Quebec. January. And Quebec's, by the way, a beautiful city. All right. But yeah. This is what you're doing, huh? Yeah. I'm going to be honest, Neil. I mean, eh? Yeah. Huh? Come on. I'm just saying. Paradise or tundra? Yeah, no hurricane. Good point. Good point. Here's what I would say, Age of Neil. Ask your significant other, honey, sweetie, sugar pie. Can we set up a streaming room and invite a streamer to stay? Because I'll fucking do it. Fuck yeah. Oh. I'll be your cabana boy for fucking Paradise. But the poutine. How could you leave them? I know, Garfo. I know. My God, though. It was beautiful. By the way, I'm not a big fan of the Caribbean normally. Twitter's at 43. Holy shit. Chad, thank you for the sub. You don't know why you keep giving this Canada hater your maple coins. Nah, you apologize. It's okay. You're dying. Why is Nautilus halted? Which one's Nautilus? Sorry, Spencer. What's the ticker? NLS. That's a $56 million company. They're probably getting bought. Yeah, who the fuck are these? I don't know. I don't care. They're small. I'm pretty sure at least one of the people that are in chat right now, your portfolio is bigger than this company. Yeah. I'm not going to call it who it is. Cheers. This stream brought to you now by Fat Tire. Even though they don't pay me shit, I'll hawk them for free. Interesting news, by the way. Micron reiterated buy and overweight this morning despite the fact that price targets were cut. Hint, it is now you. Yeah. It's not you. Figured as much. But yeah, Micron reiterated positive, sorry. Price was cut, which is fine. $68 price target for a $50 stock don't make a lot of sense. They have earnings this week. The argument, by the way, as to why they got reiterated positive is valuation. They basically said, we know they're going to suck. We don't see this with a lot of room to go lower, given it's only trading apparently at 1.1 book. So yeah, boring stock. I hate the memory market. To me, this stock is fucking de-risked. Doesn't mean it's not going to go lower, though. But yeah. God, cyclicality is a motherfucker. That's memory. Yep, Twitter's still mooning a little bit. We'll see. We'll see how it ends up. Jumping Ninja, what's the China misinformation? Just the idea there was not a coup over the weekend. So general, I covered it earlier. The general idea that in China, where there's generally speaking an information vacuum, people like to assume the worst. But they did someone did an analysis on Twitter. They looked at the accounts that were spreading out the China coup information, and it all originated from a few specific accounts. A few of them had ties to Falun Gong. Big flow today in Biogen. A bet on their Alzheimer's drugs. Interesting. BIB, Biogen. Justin 420 Trudeau. The Falun Gong is a fucking cult. It's like a religious group in China. It's a cult. It's a cult. Lonesome Frog Face. By the way, I love that name. The gas leakage Bloomberg tweeted out earlier apparently is in Nord Stream 2, which raises a question. I thought there was no gas in that pipe. Huh? I've seen Shenyun. Shenyun? No. I don't think I have. You mean the video game Shenyun? I remember it a long time ago. Yeah, so apparently they think it is Nord Stream 2. Interesting. Falun Gong propaganda play about life before CCP. Interesting. Go Rebs. What's up with Twitter? Elon Musk and Twitter CEO's depositions were delayed. They were supposed to get deposed today. Apparently, there's like 3 hour oral arguments tomorrow, which is the actual reason why. I think Twitter is up because people are assuming there's some kind of deal that may not be true. Does anyone have a earnings calendar? I think this week's an interesting week for earnings, by the way. Best shirt ever. You all. Nice. Steezy, it's in Discord. Can you send me a link, please? Nice American buzz. I lost my virginity at Shen Yun Performing Arts Show. There we go. So tonight, oh boy, Jabil could be interesting. This week's got some interesting companies. Micron, Nike, CarMax, Rite Aid, Bed Bath & Beyond, Worthington. Pay attention, Worthington could be interesting. What is their fucking stock looking like? Probably like shit. Problem is that this is a boring company. This is a metal fabrication company. Yeah. Problem is, no one will, like, they could beat, will anyone care? I actually think they would, I'd have reason to believe they would do well. I'm not going to play them, though. Cintas should probably be good. Jabil, though, is the interesting one. JBL, not like the wrestler. Enterprise Components, they upgraded them, or they moved guidance up last time. This stock trades cheap as fuck. Healing Care Bear, I think that's the real reason. You think depositions are being postponed pending tomorrow's rulings? I agree. Forward PE is very good. If you believe it, it's $7. Sorry, 7 PE. This is a good company. It's a high quality company. I'll say that much. Plunge Protection Team, where you at? I think they're defending currencies at the moment. Jay Powell, please give the Europorters liquidity on FX swaps. He's like, no. What part of my mandates are inflation and full employment? I didn't see anything about fucking Europe in there. Yeah, Behood, I agree. Infinite conflicting data? Yep. I am bullish on the economy, very bearish in the market at the moment. I don't trust the market. If the Fed is going to keep hiking rates even after they see clear signs inflation's going down, I don't trust them. Now, I've acknowledged there's a good chance they're trying to jawbone the market, and everything they're doing is consistent. But I'm not going to bet against that. I can't. The Master, imagine that the Fed starts buying other currencies. What do you mean jawbone? So basically, talk the markets in a direction. They talk very hawkish without any intention on necessarily following through because they know, particularly along the yield curve, the market starts pricing it in. That's the question, Hydrocam. Why not stop the rates? I think they will legitimately stop the rates when inflation hits 3. Whiskey Jack Black, one of my takeaways in Qualcomm presentation, very positive. I like their presentation a lot. I like their automotive strategy. The fact that in the span of a year, they've gone from 50 million cellular connected cars to 250 is a big deal. They didn't even talk too much about that. I loved it. I loved Qualcomm's presentation. I love everything they're doing. It's my favorite company. Okay? Period. Does nothing short term stock wise, which sucks. You know where caffeine? Here's the thing: if they've lost all credibility, I don't know if the market should be completely shitting itself after last FOMC. Apes in shambles, BBBY earnings, no comment. Well, yeah, a comment. They're gonna suck. I have caddy issues. I love that name, by the way. If you're a long-term investor, these are excellent times you'll look back on and appreciate. I agree. There are a lot of really strong companies. And I've heard people say, but back in 2008, blah, 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 earnings did such. Go through individual companies. If you think Microsoft is in danger in the future, I don't know what to tell you. Qualcomm's another example, CVS, UNH, they're very good companies. The problem is, you have to buy them and watch them get potentially redder. Yep, we could still absolutely go lower. Yep. But there are tons that still need to be rinsed out hard. We talking memes or what? Costco to me is still offensively priced. Yeah, no one ever said hodling would be easy back in 2020, 2001 and 2008. Correct. Yep, I'm with Red Reptile. You will never put it this way. To a certain there will be a certain point at which if you have a long-term portfolio where you shouldn't care if a stock will potentially go lower, you'd rather not miss any of the upside. Put it this way. After Amazon crashed long time ago, no one cares if you bought at what, $15 or $30. The stock went over 1,000. Rad says, find you someone that says they timed the bottom and the top, and I'll show you someone who lied twice. FinTwit's full of those fuckers. FinTwit's full of them. Hmm. Caffeine. Companies have been downgraded to distressed levels. 2020, 4. 2021, 30. 2022, 95. 2022, just June through September, 58. Here's the interesting aspect. What's your interpretation of that? I think the actual amount of distressed companies should be less. Real simple reason why. Real simple reason why. If a company couldn't get through the last 2 years with all the labor issues, COVID issues, being shut down, open back up, shut down again, like, in order to have survived the last 2 years, either you lived completely and totally on excess raised capital, which is the truth, which absolutely happens. Think Carvana, Wayfair, etc. If that's the case, fine. But for a lot of other companies, like if you're Toast, the company TOST, all right, if you've managed to survive the last 2 years, how bad must the future look for you to now be at risk? Chem Life, I love this. Everyone refied in 2020 to 2021. So 2024 to 2025 is a new maturity. Yep. think COVID should have been good for them. My understanding was they expanded really, really fast in terms of capacity, and then all of a sudden, people stopped buying goods. There's another aspect I don't think a lot of people appreciate. If you're in the Boston area, you probably know this. Wayfair probably recruited you. Wayfair exploded their headcount. They were big on headcount. Chem Life. The future doesn't have to be bad. As long as rates are well off zero, many companies will fail. I guess the question is like, what's your comparison point? There'll be obviously a lot of companies fail every year, right? That's not a shock. Usually not necessarily big ones, big corporations, yeah. And I could see it being a more risk scenario, but to put it this way, I think a lot of the small businesses that would have been the stronger competition for big corporations, they're getting rinsed out as we speak. Why not assume the Fed comes to its senses? Because if you're fucking wrong, you keep getting negative prints, you're going against both the market and the Fed. That's why. Listen, the economic projections changed my viewpoints. I took new data and I adapted. Wayfair is greater than Wish? Correct. Look at IWM. Oh, God. Oh, savage. No one likes the small caps. You mean liquidity? I know. I don't disagree with your argument. I think it's a really good argument. How can you think the Fed will get it right? That's the thing I find funny. A lot of the doomers who love to shit on like the Fed and all this stuff, the armchair economists who've never studied economics or business, etc. Yeah. A lot of those folks like to sit there and say, previously, oh, the Fed was calling out transitory. They're so fucking wrong. They're the same ones that now say, oh, well, the Fed says they're going to do this, so you got to listen to them. The Fed's going to be right. And you're like, really? No, I'm not talking about you. No. My adapted perspective, Whiskey Jack Black, is this. Until I see, like real convincing evidence on the CPI front, but even then, if I'm seeing CPI do what I expected to do, I'm going to wait for the Fed to specifically call out a pause. I'm not going to think, oh, well, they must see the same thing I do, so clearly they're going to be pausing. I think the risk now is the Fed will absolutely intentionally over-tighten. Yep, Dunning-Kruger, yeah. AMD below 70, yeah. Hey, listen, that's one of those times where if you need to be greedy while others are fearful when others are greedy, AMD is doing wonderful in the market. Their stock, maybe not so much. Twitter is quote dumping, yeah. It was a nothing burger. Why would I learn anything when I'd be confidently wrong? I know. So, Ms. Garrison, Twitter apparently postponed depositions for Elon Musk and Twitter CEO. A lot of people interpreted that to mean there was an imminent settlement. The truth could be simply there's 3 hours of oral arguments tomorrow along 5 issues. Cremate some young guy. How do you feel about the quote, losers average losers? I think it's a hilarious quote. I disagree with it. I guess if it's a loser and you invest more, yeah. But if there's a high conviction stock, then you're not averaging in on a loser. Is it still over tightening if it's on purpose? I think so. Healing Care Bear. Elon is way too prideful to settle? Nope. I disagree. Remember, no one averages. Correction, no one knowingly averages a loser. All right? They think they're still doubling down on a winning stock. It only becomes a loser later. Yeah, like Air, I don't think it's a loser. I'll invest in it. How's Air doing now? Air, AMD just below. Oh, look at that, brutal. This is such a good company. Oh, I wonder, is this relevant? Everybody's chart looks bad. And this is a semi-cap and a small cap semi-cap. So this has everything going against it. Still such a good company. Long-term standpoint. I have my shares. I'm going to make money. Screaming breakdown? Yeah, that's what I thought. Their earnings are next week. I don't anticipate, given they've already announced one new customer, I don't anticipate they're going to have a new customer to announce by next week. Do I see a short-term reversal in this stock or in the market? In the market, I don't see anything. I honestly. If we ended the week at 390 or if we ended the week at 340, I would not be surprised either way. Honestly. Nothing would fucking shock me. I still want to see us end above 366.6 just so that we have we don't have a new closing low. 390 am I high? No. Literally 390 is 25 points higher up than it is now. 340 is 25 points lower. You had a problem with me saying that going up 25 points was crazy, but not going down 25 points? Technically, the bounce in the quarterly OPEX. Interesting. Is Intel dragging AMD's price down inadvertently? I love your choice of the word inadvertently. There are so many times when Pat Gelsinger would speak and he would specifically like call out these big macro things that was not impacting AMD and it would drag AMD down. So I wouldn't use the word inadvertently. IV for AMD December at the money calls about 60%. Wow. And AMD has an event, what? Next week? So next week or the following week, they're going to release their new Radeon GPUs. Quarterly OPEX is an inherent mechanism for VIX to drop into it, which could be bullish. And I assume you're talking about the fact that this week, it's end of quarter rebalancing. Theoretically, there should be some buys and sells, right? Holding VUXI shares till some price. Probably makes sense. How like that? We've entered the long-term investor phase of Bed Bath and Beyond. Blood Bath and Beyond. Oh my god. This stock is fucking savage. I was having a chat with people over the weekend about Bed Bath and Beyond. And I'd sat there and said, like, this stock is now roadkill for Target. Maybe a good buy. No, it's not a good buy. It's a good die. It will die. There is no, I mean, bullish scenario right now. I see you mean the Dixie chart? No. No. That was Bed Bath & Beyond. Store's trash. Agreed. Don't buy companies that don't make money. Correct. You didn't get your vote in. The green SPY number is 366. Goodbye. More like goodbye. Does Iran affect the U.S.? Correct. Yes, yes. Absolutely does. Doesn't Bye Bye Baby make money? Probably. Possibly. But Bed Bath & Beyond does not. They are deeply negative. Bye Bye Baby is much smaller than the rest of their legacy business. Here's the problem, Fishing for Deer. Love the name, by the way. Right now, the IPO and the capital markets are dog shit. Right? Absolute dog shit. That's why Intel pushed back the Mobileye IPO. So as a result, Bed Bath & Beyond is losing money, needs cash. They have this asset, Bye Bye Baby, but they can't spin it off right now because the IPO market's terrible. They're not going to get full value. So they're going to sit here holding this thing that's going to lose value while they're losing value, waiting for the markets to turn around. Hydrocam. So Intel makes money, not free cash flow, though. Intel is free cash flow negative. We were talking briefly about Nord Stream. Yeah. Yeah, that is exactly why Ryan Cohen did want to sell. But at this point, they waited too long. They should have sold it last year. Last year was the correct answer. I don't know when Porsche IPOs. They're supposedly still going through it. Intel is the dog of the Dow this year, as was told over and over and over again here. I think Powell's speaking. We had like 22 Fed speakers this week. Like, they're all speaking. I would almost sit there and say you could treat them more bullish than bearish, simply because the last time anyone heard from the Fed members was extremely bearish. It's hard to get more bearish than that FOMC notes. I have caddy issues is correct. Long term, markets always go up. What I find interesting is when people point out, oh, the SPY had this, quote, lost decade. They are picking a very specific point to point, and you still had a lot of opportunities. Polls probably regret turn. Oh, fuck yeah, they are. Doesn't that seem crazy that they're all speaking? Like, what's the point? They get asked to speak. They get booked. None of these are like impromptu speeches, by the way. These are all like they've booked them for a while back. So, contrary to popular belief, I don't have any problem with the United States with our government being transparent, including our central bankers. I know from a market standpoint, we get pissed off because the market reacts and overreacts to the shit they say. I don't blame J-Pow for how markets respond. I blame the markets for being stupid. That's it. Prometheus, I'm with you. I think we're at peak Fed hawkishness. We almost got to be. Did you listen to the Fed Listens event? We listened to a part of it. Everyone then demanded we turn it off. It was interesting. Do they get paid for these speeches? I think, generally speaking, no. They may be allowed to collect a very small stipend. By the way, I would love to have J-Pow come on the stream. Just to humanize him. I wouldn't even ask him questions about policy necessarily. I'd ask him about expectations. I'd be like, excuse me, Mr. Powell, my question for you is specifically is like, when you look back on this time period, like from any of your, your research, any of your academia, did you ever think we'd run into a confluence of these factors? Like post-pandemic, a shutdown kind of, or at least a stepping off of globalization. Honorarium, thank you. Give me more caffeine. What lessons can one learn from the last bull market bear cycle? Drop everything into big tech puts after the. I don't know if this is a good one to learn from. Look at that. We're above 366.6. Go Rebs. That'd be excellent. Get a porn star on the stream and interview her about HR practices in the workplace. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see that back. I didn't think we'd run into that confluence, Jay, but I knew if we did, I'd have the tools to handle it. You will pay for Jay to speak with Sasha. I would happily interview Sasha Gray. I would happily do it. I'd keep it as respectful as shit. I think she's awesome. I think she's excellent. That's not some simp mode either. Like, she's reinvented herself on Twitch. And she comes across as just straight up like a cool fucking person. Jay Pass response: who are you and how did you hack into my Zoom meeting? Yep. Yeah, Sasha Gray. She is a Twitch streamer now. Rick holding it in today. Nice. You would happily interview Sacha Baron Cohen? Oh, fuck yeah, I would do. Look at that SPY drop. I think we're going to, guys, I think we're going to close at a new low. We will hit a new 52-week low. Unless we see some big dick movement in the last 4 minutes. Shut up, Age of Neil. This is about to be an age comment mocking me. Introducing Sasha Gray as a Twitch streamer is a weird flex. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you'd have to. Yeah, SPY's just, yeah. Seeing why I feel you missed. I was never a permable. I was never a permable. Remember, all the bears, leave aside the price action in the market, which is obviously the most important thing. They said earnings would disappoint. They did not. Aggregate, they did not. Earnings were actually up on aggregate. All right. They said China would invade Taiwan. They said that. No, it did not. Shit, no one likes to call out the fact that I pointed out Omicron was the last push for COVID, and I was right about that one. Yeah. W. Joe, you want to see 5 hot porn stars stand behind Jay? Shut up. What's my username on Superstonk? Oh, God. Unless we magically go about $2. Yeah. I was able to spot a lot of shitty companies. I'm a terrible bear at actually playing them. I'm a bad trader. Anyone who's new here, follow me if it's for a trader. Not a good call. However, other people here will hopefully point out on like a lot of the macro narratives and even like micro business and sector specific, I'm apparently pretty valuable. Other people make a lot of good money off of me. Yeah. Put it this way, the market and macro ever chills the fuck out. We tend to do very well in earnings. Earnings seasons is our seasons. The luckiest trade I ever made, oh God, I bought a bunch of Merck calls a while back. The next day, they released one of their treatments, and it went up huge. AMC, take massive loss? I don't know. You made the best overnight gain on Wolf Speed? Yeah. And it's funny because Wolf Speed is one of those companies that I've said, like, it's incredibly overvalued, but it's got such a strong narrative, such a strong story. The funny thing, caffeine, is for like a lot of the Huzzies, they were big on Sky Water Technology, SKYT. And I told them exactly why they needed to be careful, and I was exactly right there too. Accenture was one of my top 4 plays. Accenture, Qualcomm, believe it or not, Airbnb, and actually a TSMC. Your bear points. 1 second. Savage ending into the day. People buying the shit out of Jabil. I'll buy 1 call in Jabil. If it goes through. No, I don't think it went through. No, it did not go through. Best play was taking 6. Oh, wow. Bears won savagely. While I'm making, do you think the market would pump the week before CPI in October? I don't know. I can't. I don't think you should trust my predictions. I think I've been wrong too much. Anyway, boom. The Bears win, folks. The Bears win. The Bears win. Who's selling AMD? Yeah, I assume short selling. I assume it's a very tactical trade, put it that way. Long term, yeah. People selling AMD now, I don't understand it. Guys, new 52-week low close. Boom. We broached our we broke our lows. Let's see if JBL moons. I would argue you can only trust predictions from people who say their prediction can't be trusted. Sounds about right. You sold your AMD today? Yep. $52-week low. Oh, no guarantee we moon. Listen, I will, even though we had a new 52-week low, we got lucky today. I'm surprised we didn't die more. All the currency news going on, the currency activities, guys, this is underappreciated. I don't even know how it truly washes out. There is potentially an argument to be made that whether JPOW pivots or not now is closer related to currency. We got this is the overlayer. It's the overlayer. Wow, look at it. It's lining up. It's insulting that the overlay missed out on COVID. You know, they should have known. Look at the overlay. Or look at it go. Short-term pump before more drop. Fair enough. You're leaving Uzbekistan tomorrow, probably trying to buy puts on whatever is important here. Yeah, you always, whenever you leave, the country goes. By the way, make sure you keep yourself safe, Cream. We like you. We like you around. Two 2001 though was the business cycle. It should have been somewhat predicted. You and Tash Kent. When I think about oil, I have no clue what to think about it now. Gonna fly to Seoul. Good luck. Prometheum, almost certainly it's true. The US dollar, which I actually think makes it more like this is the worst year to date for every other currency. Someone say money. If Jay Powell pivots due to currency craziness, would he explicitly state that? I assume he would. But I assume he would also sit there and do so if he could then make the argument he already saw signs inflation was waving off. As horrible as it sounds, and this is the question as to whether to what degree they're insulated from political interference. But basically, if they pivot, it's like saying we're more worried about the economy of other countries than inflation hitting the American consumer. Uzbek bread? What's Uzbek bread? Hold on. Oh my. Is this what you're talking about? Because that looks delightful. That looks delightful, yeah. All right, is it made with like lard? I assume it's like animal fat. Uzbek food is just delicious. Is Uzbek a Muslim predominant country? Basically asking to know if they like pork or not. They have food from China, India, Turkey because they're on the Silk Road. Yep. Yeah, it's okay. That's what I thought. Yeah, so no pork. They drink vodka. Sounds about right. I knew someone previously from Azerbaijan. We go out drinking, and he would always insist. He's like, Allah's asleep. Border is closed. Yeah, you be careful. Don't get yourself fucking kidnapped. Remember, Prometheum. Remember that third mandate no one likes to talk about. All right. The third mandate. First mandate, price stability. Second mandate, full employment. Third mandate, which no one talks about, orderly capital markets. They don't care if the market value goes up or down. They care that there's buyers and sellers. If the treasuries and bond market, which they are responsible for, doesn't get any buyers, they may have to step in. You just said the kidnappers my info, you're dead. You're gonna die. Cream, you're gonna die. While making, is ASML worth buying at this point? I have no clue. That's not the semi cap I would buy right now if I had to buy any semi caps. I'm avoiding semi caps. I think they're in the midst of a down cycle. That being said, ASML should be the most insulated. The problem is ASML is the most expensive. Plus, ASML is Europe's largest tech company. Let me see. Are there any games I should take a look at? Let's see. Heard a lot about Mega Strikers. Supposedly like an air hockey game. Elden Ring? No. Spencer, what's the name of that game? The dodgeball game you're talking about? Knockout City? Okay. Well, it's free. All right. Mega Strikers is pretty cool. Gives you Rocket League. I'm good at Rocket League. I'm actually pretty good at Rocket League. Yeah, you can't argue with free to play. The game that I wish would come out is called Party Animals. Party Animals is the biggest missed opportunity for games. They did like a bunch of they did an open beta, which apparently was really really fun. It looks like an amazing game, and the company basically their beta was in fall of 2021, and it's still not out. It's not going to come out until next year. My Better Call Saul guy? No, I don't know. Rocket League is fun. You're very good on the ground, but can't seem to master flying. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I've played Rocket League for years. Rocket League and Hearthstone are the two games I play the most. Hearthstone Battlegrounds now I play a lot of. Not seen any earnings news at all, quite frankly. Did Champ 1 just on good rotational skills and placement. That's the way to be. Oh, wow. You worked at a Skyrise next door to Sonics? That'd be fun. The Mole, you love Hearthstone's Battlegrounds? Yeah. Battlegrounds is an incredibly fun mode. I think Hearthstone team's done a really good job. They looked like they were having so much fun. I heard a story that the Psionics when they first released Rocket League, they were so shocked seeing clips sent to them by high level players doing aerials and shit, and they were like, "We never intended that." Yeah, right now Battleground. I wish they would buff the Naga a little bit more. I think bringing back the Toxfin for Murloc's a little bit too strong. Creamy Simon guy, since you're a corporate god, why do you think the C? I don't know. I don't know. He would have no doubt been under a lot of pressure. Um, yeah. Legends of Runeterra. So I originally during the beta, I played Legends of Runeterra. I really liked it. When they firmly released it early on, it lost a lot of its luster pretty quickly. I also think it'd be a terrible company or a terrible game to try to like stream from like a gaming standpoint. Spencer, how does a company like that handle suicide? Counseling for people time out? Absolutely both. Absolutely both. Frugal, wish you could day trade and day drink like me? Yep. I gave up making money to be able to day trade and day drink during one of the worst bear markets in history. You don't want to be like me right now. Chad, House Done Battleground sucks now. It's a complete rush fest. One of the things that I actually like about it now, and I will point out, put it this way. Certain Battlegrounds heroes are good on certain builds, right? But thanks to the quests, you can now get an alternative win condition. So like, you know, traditionally if you're like what the fuck's his name? One of the characters that's like really good specifically with Murlocs, and two other people have already like ramped up faster and have already got Murlocs on lockdown. Thanks to the quest mechanism, you can potentially go another class or another minion type and actually compete. Spencer, I don't know. I would listen to the corporate's communications people who would have good guidance on something like that. Why is BTC so stable? Michael Saylor. Now, I assume at some point, a lot of the people who are most likely to snap sell have probably already sold. There's a lot of people who, believe it or not, they don't day trade markets, even currency, even cryptos. So they're like, fuck it. And loss ain't real till I sell. Yeah, Chad. I've had that problem before. It's real tough to kind of balance where you'll have situations in which, you know, you die before you can stabilize. And you're like, if I just survived one more turn, I'd be doing well. But that's the challenge. Like, to what degree do you rush to complete your quest, taking beatings each round, versus, you know, playing tempo and trying to like keep yourself strong? Meanwhile, then all of a sudden, other people are progressing their quests faster and they crush you. Overall, I like quests a lot better than the buddies. The buddies were stupid. The buddies enforced each class to play their game. Quests now made it so classes could play other games. So I think the quests are good. But they definitely definitely changed the power level. Yeah. Buddies pigeonholed, class the quests kind of open things up. There are some quests combinations with classes that are just plain broken though. But I've noticed those are the quests that are pretty hard to get. Poison Murlocs. Yep. Yep, I agree. The only advantage to the Poison Murlocs is at least they created Leroy and the Mansid, so other classes can potentially fight back. I was hoping we get some JBL news, but they're taking their sweet fucking time, so I guess we're not. Yeah, Poison Murlocs are bullshit. God, look at the spy, guys. I want to show you something. Okay, we have a new 52-week low. Okay, in the relative scheme of things, we're still around the same area. If we could see a rally here, it raises questions of a quote double bottom, but man, I'm not optimistic. I'm not. Those FOMC economic projections are bad. Death to the market, death to humanity. Yep. Yeah, I guess we're not getting earnings, huh? I wanted to see JBL before I turned off. Agent, you bought SPY using Canadian. Hey Raider, how you doing, my friend? Hopefully everything's going well with you. Yep, new 52-week low, closing low. Made a good amount trading. Nice. Well played, my friend. Money is money. We are happy to hear that. Oh, that buying SPY using Canadian money. Oof. Doing some research for any earnings plays this week. The interesting one, it's a small company, so I'm not sure if it'll matter. Worthington, WOR. That could be interesting. Micron, I'm curious how the market's going to respond to that. Micron should not have good news. If Micron goes up, it's really simple. It's valuation. It's people saying, like, all right, this company's basically said this is the worst they see it. And it's trading at like 10% over book value. Like, how cheap do we need that company to get, right? Or what? Do we think the world realize the world doesn't need more memory in the future? I would disagree with that. So yeah, that could be the interesting one. The thing that I saw said JBL was tonight, but all right. If it's tomorrow morning, that's fine. Then that means I should definitely stop streaming. Let's go ahead and see what our good friend Jay Jared is up to. By the way, I may jump on in about 30 minutes. I may start streaming some Hearthstone Battlegrounds if you guys want to come back and see that. Right, Jay Jared's up to. Anyway, folks, I will either see you guys potentially look like about 30 minutes or so, or I will fucking see you tonight or tomorrow. Peace out, guys.